How's everyone doing? Hey there. Let me start this out the way I've been trying to get in the habit of. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you are watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk politics, news, and current events. So, it is currently Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, and we got quite a few things. So I think so. To start with, at the top, we're gonna talk some good news, some fun news, something interesting, have a little bit of fun here at the top of the show, and then we'll wade into the rest of the topics. We're gonna be talking about the text message leaks that came out through Talking Points memo. About the January 6th, I don't want to say conspirators, but really more aligned folks who are also representatives. Then I kind of want to follow up on the Twitter files stuff from yesterday. Kind of go over, since yesterday we watched Breaking Points' video, them wrapping up, I think, up only really to episode 3 or so, but they've done an update where they kind of did all of the episode 4 and 5 recap and added their commentary in. I kind of want to see their updated take since we had gone over everything, and kind of want to give them a chance to give a little bit more of their take. I felt bad focusing a little bit, more on them in the beginning there. So we'll let them kind of we'll watch kind of an update to their half of this, and then after that we're going to then wade into the right wing, which shouldn't be super surprising. That's kind of what we do here. We respond to the right wing and hopefully give good arguments and push back on their awful framing and everything else. So let's just get started. Let's just start with some fun, shall we? I think that's good. I think fun is good. Oh, oh, there's no sound. There's no sound. There's no sound. There's no sound. There's no sound.
A team at
Now there's sound.
Lawrence Livermore National Lab
There we go.
Mission facility made the following happen. There's a tiny cylinder here at the end of this that you probably can't see. It's about so tall and this wide. Inside that was a small spherical capsule about half the diameter of a BB.
Cool.
192 laser beams entered from the two ends of the cylinder and struck
that's a lot of
inner
lasers.
wall. They didn't strike the capsule, they struck the inner wall of this cylinder and deposited energy, and that happened in less time than it takes light to move 10 feet. So it's kind of fast.
That's
X-rays
super
from the
fast.
wall impinged on the spherical capsule. Fusion fuel in the capsule got squeezed. Fusion reactions started. This had all happened before, 100 times before. But last week, for the first time, they designed this experiment so that the fusion fuel stayed hot enough, dense enough, and round enough for long enough that it ignited. And it produced more energies than the lasers had deposited. About 2 megajoules in, about 3 megajoules out.
Oh, wow.
A gain of 1.5.
Oh, okay.
The energy production took less time than it takes light to travel 1 inch. Kind of fast.
That's
So
rather
this is
quick.
pretty cool. I have a special message to listeners who want to work on exciting, challenging, and important problems. We're hiring.
Hey, there you go. So, scientists in the U.S., if that wasn't super clear, were able to produce or had, I guess, some kind of like fusion, big Tony Stark from the first Avengers, or maybe the second Iron Man movie type ass thing. So we're gonna watch another video, but like pretty fucking cool. I don't know about you all, but you know, the idea of like fusion energy, which I have absolutely no fucking understanding of, but the concept of clean renewable energy that requires like very minimal input in terms of like, you know, compared to like oil or gas or coal or anything like that, that's not harmful for the environment. It's pretty cool. So let's check in with an old friend of mine and probably yours. Bill Nye showed up on CNN to talk about this. So let's hear his whole spiel.
U.S. scientists making a huge breakthrough. A source tells CNN that for the first time ever, researchers have been able to create energy from a fusion reaction. Now, Laura, I could explain all of this in great detail, of course. But basically,
Naturally.
it's a giant step towards a clean energy future without dependence on fossil fuels.
Enough said. That's the end of the show.
That's all you need to know.
That's why you know, everyone. The Department of Energy is expected to officially announce the breakthrough in just a few hours. But here to help explain it to us all, CNN chief climate correspondent Bill Weir and science educator Bill Nye, host of The End Is Nigh. Let me begin with you, Mr. Nye, on this point, because although Allison and I clearly know everything about
If you have any
nuclear
questions,
fusion,
Bill,
feel free to ask us any questions you might have. But could you just explain for those of us who don't know how this is such a miraculous occurrence?
So I'll ask you a question. Do you know that the sun is a continuous fusion reaction?
Naturally.
It has a continuous.
definitely.
Do you really or not?
Yep,
This is,
yep.
So a nuclear weapon.
Big facts.
We had at terminate World War II. We're splitting very large atoms apart. Gave off a tremendous amount of energy. But there's another amazing thing that happens in nature where you smash tiny, tiny parts of atoms together, protons, and they fuse and convert a tiny amount of their mass into energy, into heat and light. And that was the mythic hydrogen bomb. But for all this time, for 80 years.
Bro, even Bill Nye is like, fuck, dude, explaining this shit. I
People
gotta take a second.
Tried to get this idea where you could do it in a controlled fashion using a tiny amount of material, and the material would be hydrogen that has an extra neutron, which has this marvelous word deuterium. And then if it has two extra neutrons, that's tritium.
Makes sense.
And
Yep.
so
That's
using
true.
lasers, they zap
My
this
scientific
container,
background says
this
yes.
whole rum, this gold thing with the deuterium in it, and the lasers create X-rays, and the X-rays create constructively interfering shock waves
That
that
is
get the
correct.
thing to fuse without
Uh-huh.
a giant magnetic bottle and without the
telling 'em.
gravity of a star. And so this is the first time, by all accounts, they've gotten more heat out than they put in. And this is amazing. And there's, as far as I know in the reporting the last few days, no one's mentioned that Enrique Fermi and his colleagues in the University of Chicago
Yep.
did the first chain reaction.
I
which
remember
led to
that.
all the
I remember
nuclear
that.
power plants we have now
Yeah.
on December 2nd, 1942.
Okay.
So it's quite a little chin stroke that it's very close to 80 years later to the day that this breakthrough occurred. And so you guys, if this would work,
Yeah.
if this is a harbinger, if this is
Okay.
really the beginning of
The
something
big part of
huge,
this, I think.
it would change the world.
Thank you for explaining that to Allison.
Okay, so really cool stuff. Very, very cool sciencey stuff. Sciencey. I don't know, fucking Iron Man, the what's a doohickeys, all the cool shit. So before we watch the rest of this, I want to make something really clear. Technology and the the advancement of technology since the industrial era, since the beginnings of industrial Europe and the industrial US, almost all technical innovations have throughout our history been controlled by an incredibly small group of people. More specifically, technology throughout our existence on this planet has helped to create some of the systems we now have and some of the the ease in which humans can produce more product. So obviously we're talking like assembly line, stuff like that. Like, you know, before the assembly line, before, you know, any of these technological innovations that we have these days, what did people do? People lived in small villages where people went out and hunted. They went and like gathered some animals, grabbed some fucking berries. You know, a few other guys grabbed some sticks. They brought it all back. They'd have to each night fucking skin the animals, cut them up, know what parts of the animal are useful for eating, are good for consumption, and what parts are good for materials. And, you know, as a small community would end up living off of the closest local resources. For a lot of our history, that's what we did. Until the Industrial Revolution took off, and suddenly people were working in large factories, were working with large pieces of equipment, dangerous pieces of equipment, but nonetheless very cool pieces of equipment. You know, once you start to, you know, once some of these, you know, whether it's the printing press, whether it's, you know, any kind of like, you know, car building mechanisms, stuff like that, as all of those innovations have been kind of progressing throughout our history, what have we seen? We've seen the the proliferation of the abuse of workers. As industries, as companies begin to expand and grow their technological, technological resources, and as they develop those, more and more, each individual worker becomes that much more capable of producing more with their input. And what's happened throughout these years as well is, as companies have noticed this, this is why you saw, kids working in the mines. It's why you saw kids and women working in these factories, 16-hour days or 12-hour days or whatever it was. And as all this was happening, the wealthy capital owners were the prime beneficiaries of this technology. Now, what is exciting about this is we are now looking at because this comes out of a university, we are now looking at the public production of an energy source that could give us not just energy independence, but like clean, renewable, consistent energy. And what we're going to need to be vigilant about going forward, this breakthrough is very cool, but what I want everybody to keep an eye out going forward when it comes to this fusion reactor stuff is who is being involved, who is attempting to fund any of this technology, and more specifically, who is trying to buy any intellectual intellectual rights or any kind of ability to influence or control the implementation of this sort of thing. This kind of technology could free humans from essentially a big part of what holds us back on this earth of continuing to develop, keeping the lights on, keeping keeping the water ducts running, keeping everything that we have running on this planet. Think about your electricity bill, right? Your electricity bill and the actual infrastructure that was built for that, for the camera that I'm filming this through, the microphone, the computers, the screens, all of it. Our taxpayer dollars paid for the infrastructure that all of this produces. The only key difference is in who is distributing it. And unfortunately, private corporations and private interests were able, in almost every market, to be able to control those very basic human functions, such as, you know, as keeping the lights on, living in a 21st century world, essentially. And what we need to be vigilant about is that this sort of stuff doesn't get fucking paywalled. While this is cool, I want to hear the rest of it. Like, I don't have the technological brain to even understand half this shit. What we need to be concerned from a political standpoint when it comes to this stuff is that it stays in the public interest and in the public purview, because you do not want, and in no way does our society benefit from private interests getting involved with technology like this that will make them incredibly rich and continue the trend of squeezing regular people for a resource that we might have just found an ability to have an almost unlimited amount of backup for. So keep that in mind. Like, whenever all this stuff, really cool, like really neat stuff, love it. But as leftists and as people who are interested in the betterment of everybody in our society and also around the world, we need to make sure that this kind of this could equalize, this could bring a level of functional equality to everyone. Understand that with this kind of energy source, with what this could mean, the idea of some people living with minimal electricity, others having, you know, everything on in their house at all times with no problem, we could solve this problem very easily with this. But we need to be very, very active in making sure that this is distributed in an egalitarian fashion. So just keep that in mind. All this stuff is cool, but we need to be smart about how we implement this going forward in the future. I do not want, because right now a dynamic that a more specific dynamic, let me actually say, is insulin. Insulin was created by scientists, by students, by, you know, these sciencey people, in publicly funded spaces. And then when insulin was eventually synthesized, or whatever the word would be, it was then sold for $1. The purpose behind that was to, what am I thinking? Was to offer that opportunity to live with diabetes or whatever, you know, with that sort of stuff. The idea was to make that an equalizer, to eliminate that as something that would hold back people. But that's not what happened, is it? Because I don't remember what company, but, you know, but private interests got a hold of the insulin stuff. They bought it for incredibly cheap. And what have they done? They've raised the price and raised the price and raised the price. Meanwhile, the formula hasn't changed. The actual R&D hasn't changed. The only thing they've done is do little innovative like tweaks and bits and bobs and increase the price by exuberant amounts. And we do not want this happening with this kind of technology. It is dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous to leave this in the hands of private institutions. Okay, let's continue. Hey, it's Liberty. I remember you. The latest science shows that type 2 diabetes is easily cured in reverse with low or no carb. No insulin needed anymore. It's only type 1 diabetes. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. I don't know very much about that. I think my mom has like one of them, but a very, very mild one. That's also because she has a really mean sweet tooth, I'm sure.
I mean, I was going to say all of that, but Bill Weir, tell us what we need to know.
Bill just did.
In addition to
anyone
that.
over with dates at the band? No, it's a star in a box. This is the whole idea. This is why nuclear physicists have been salivating on this idea forever. It's taking a star and putting it in a box on Earth and tapping that energy that goes forever. It's what Iron Man has in his chest. Okay.
Now we understand.
Hey, let's be clear. I made that reference. This guy's smarter than me. He's still making the same reference.
You don't have any nuclear waste. There's no fallout.
I'm not just an idiot.
We don't have to drill or mine for fuel.
I might
because
still
the
be,
fuel
but
is seawater. We have 30 million years of seawater, theoretically, to feed these machines. But what Bill was describing there, these 200 lasers aimed at what is essentially a peppercorn of hydrogen, a long way from there to where you can plug in your house to this stuff. This is for our grandkids, probably, as a meaningful technology. Bill, maybe you're more optimistic than I am about how fast this takes. In the meantime, there's all this incredible breakthroughs that are happening with wind and solar, and more will go online. The next 5 years went online in the last 20.
Is that like a little 3D printer behind him? I guess they do make like really small 3D printers. 3D printing stuff's cool. I don't know, like something I'm not really experiencing, but I wish I had a 3D printer. That'd be
to see
neat.
how this news is received by those who say we should be putting our billions of dollars into the technology we know works today and getting off of oil and gas ASAP.
That's a bit reductive, and you're asking people to avoid.
As we know it, before we go for these amazing.
Liberty, you are asking people to avoid like two fundamental aspects of like basically all food. Like carbs is not incredibly. Is not like 100% easy to avoid. It's not really a choice the same way choosing other things can be a choice. Like it's really not that easy. There's like sugar in almost everything that you eat.
Moonshots, but at the same time, the promise of this, private money is going to chase public after this, and so this could be a brave new world.
Bill, do you think that it could be in our grandchildren's lifetime? Could it be sooner?
Absolutely. I mean, so I just think about how quickly people went from discovering chain reactions, the Sizzler crossing the street in 1928, and he had this idea, and then just 2 decades later, we had nuclear power.
We have like an Oppenheimer movie coming out. I'm really excited to see that. Actually,
so everybody, this expression H2O.
I think it's like Christopher Nolan's directing it.
If we can find a way to make this happen continuously, what you do is capture the heat, and almost certainly capture the heat, boil water, and make steam, and run a turbine, just as we do now in a coal-fired plant or a natural gas-fired plant or a nuclear plant.
Fuck yeah.
Efficient. So it's really an exciting thing, and it shows you the value of just investing. Like, you just invest in basic research. There is no right answer, and I got to say, Bill, to me, it's don't make me pick. We don't want to have to pick. No, but really, and because the climate situation is so serious, we want to do, as I like to say, everything all at once. We want to develop wind and solar. We want
everything
to develop,
everywhere all at once, one might say.
Technology, if it's possible. We want to avoid, you may know NIMBY, not in my backyard. We want to avoid banana. Build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything. We can't do that either. We have to invest. We have to build power lines. It's going to have to go through somebody's right of way. We've got to find ways to distribute electricity and include everybody in a future so that we have a higher quality of life for more people on Earth, and we can avoid having catastrophic climate consequences.
Which we can do without privatization of this kind of technology. That would be all these things aside, super cool. Just don't let this stuff get in the hands of private institutions. They have no interest in forwarding the quality of everybody's life. It's just simply a money-making apparatus. It's going to end up being a money-making apparatus for them. All right, so fun, cool stuff. Over, unfortunately. Next up, we have some shady stuff. So, during the January 6th insurrection and kind of leading into it, there was quite a bit of communication, as has been revealed by some of the I guess this was just a leak. Yeah, it looks like it was just a leak. Looks like there was a leak of the text messages to Mark Meadows, revealing a few people who were involved in the government who were being a bit sussy. So let's take a look. I've already heard some of the names, although I never really remember so many people. All right. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was forced to hand over 2,319 text messages to the House Select Committee investigating the Jan 6 attack on the Capitol. The trove of text messages were obtained by Talking Points memo, which on Monday reported on the extent. Okay, so this would have come out most likely, or we would have seen parts of it, but it seems like they just got all the way leaked, which transparency's sake, I'm okay with that. Which Monday reported on the extent to which Meadows was communicated with members of Congress for about overturning the 2020 election. While CNN previously reported that Meadows was kept informed of efforts to seize voting machines and other schemes to overturn President Biden's win by Trump allies in contested states, the TPM report identifies a startling message from Ralph Northam, a Republican from South Carolina, to Meadows sent on January 17th, 2021, just 3 days before Biden is scheduled to take office. In the text, Norman appears to propose that then President Trump impose martial law, or as Norman put it, martial law. Oh, yes. You know, I don't know if any, yeah, I mean, where's my man? Where is he? Nope. Give it. Yeah. I gotta fucking impose martial. Fuck yeah. Fuck, dude. You don't want to look at this man. Look how fucking jacked he is. You don't want to fuck with him. I mean, if you want to, you want to talk about taking over the U.S. government. Can I open this on a new page, please? I'm on. That's why it's on fucking Bing. Oh, I hate you, Bing. God, so stupid. Yeah. My boy. Yeah. This is what they were worried about. They're like, you need to declare martial law, come in and whoop everybody's ass. That's what needs to happen. Yeah, my boy. Love me some martial law. During the final hours of the office to overturn the election in his favor, Mark, in seeing what's happening so quickly, in reading about the Dominion lawsuits, attempting to stop any meaningful investigation, Mark, I'm seeing what's happening so quickly, and reading about the Dominion lawsuits, attempting to stop any meaningful investigation, we are at a point of, I think I heard that was like, I think this is like emoji things, right? No return, another one. In saving our oh wait, is it like here? Oh, it didn't even show up. That's lame. Republic, our last hope is invoking martial law. Please urge the president to do so, Norman wrote. Oh, that's lovely. A series also shows that Meadows was at the center of hundreds of incoming discussions among 34 members of Congress about plans to help Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election results. Several members of Congress were also identified as leading players in the effort to undo Trump's loss and messaged Meadows about plans to challenge the election results, including Ted Cruz, Jim Jordan, and Mo Brooks. Representative Brooks texted Meadows on the 21st of December, referring to plans to hold a, quote, White House meeting regarding formulation of our January 6 strategies. Soon after, Meadows messaged Fox News personality Brian Kilmeade confirming the meeting happened. Lovely. As usual, Fox News in the pocket of the party. The president and I met with about 15 members of Congress to discuss the evidence of the voter fraud in various states, as well as discuss the strategies for making the case to the American people. Meadows wrote Kilmeade later that day. Among those members identified by the January 6th committee as having participated in the meetings were Representative Jordan, Brian Babin, Republican from Texas, Andy Biggs from Arizona, Matt Gaetz from Florida, Paul Gosar from Arizona, Andy Harris from Maryland, come on, Jody Heiss from Georgia, Scott Perry from Pennsylvania, and then Representative-elect Marjorie Taylor Greene. Was she not in yet? I guess she wasn't technically. That makes sense. Let's see. Prior to the midterms, Representative Greene faced a legal challenge to disqualify her from running for Congress due to her alleged role in January 6th. Good morning, Mark. I'm here in D.C. We have to get organized for the 6th, Greene wrote to Meadows on December 31st, CNN reported. I would like to meet with Rudy Giuliani again. We didn't get to speak with him long. Also, anyone who can help, we are getting a lot of members on board, and we need to lay out the best case for each state. By January 17th, Greene told Meadows that several Republicans in Congress wanted... The police are awesome. My dad was a police officer. Police are okay. They got problems. Let's see. By January, but thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. By January, oh, you read that. In our private chat with only members, several are saying the only way to save our republic is for Trump to call for martial law again. Again, bring it. You know what? Can I? 1 second. I have an idea. I just want to. 1 second. Can I open this? Okay. Bring this over here. Da, 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 da. Oh, it's a PNG. Yes. Good. Love it. Fucking love it. Should be in downloads, right? I think it should be in downloads. Oh, it's right there. There he is. Oh, this is the wrong source. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay. I'll try this again. They keep saying it, and it keeps cracking me the fuck up. Bring him in. Bring him in. Yep, love it. We're sticking with it. I love it. It's my stream. I get to do what I want. Marshall, you're going to stay right there, buddy. You're not moving. All right. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know on the what is it? Where was I? Good morning. Anyone else who can help? We are getting okay. Many several Republicans in Congress wanted Trump to declare martial law. She too appeared to think giving power to the military was named after a person named Marshall. Yeah, it was, because the military is only channeling the pure raw strength and vigor of martial law. In our private chat with only members, several are saying the only way to save our republic is for Trump to call for martial law. Green wrote, "Isn't this the exact?" No, not exactly what he said. I don't know on those things. I just wanted you to tell him they stole this election. We all know they will destroy our country next. Please tell him to declassify as much as possible so we can go after Biden and anyone else. So let's before we continue, let's keep in mind this is her rhetoric, before she's even in office technically. But also, this is what she's saying while also in her head, like when talking about the January 6th riots, she made the point that oh, well, if I was actually planning it, then it would have gone really well, and we would have brought in guns and taken over and and did a fascist coup. We would have succeeded in our fascist coup. And you know that she's really not lying, because this is essentially what she's saying. She already wants them to declare martial law, which in her mind is, essentially hey, just have the military just back us up and not allow the election to go forward. We'll just dissolve the executive branch, we'll dissolve the election, and then boom, we'll just take power and nobody's going to stop us. And that's how it is. So obviously, if anybody needs convincing on Marjorie Taylor Greene's fascism, I'm sorry, you're too far gone. There's just no really getting out of that. But yeah, this is what they say in private. They're absolutely ready to just take over the country with a fascist coup. They're ready to do it like that. But this time they didn't quite get there, but they damn sure wanted to. Which again is why Biden needs to stop pissing around and stop fucking dragging his feet and arrest these people. What they're doing is engaging in seditious conspiracy. They need to be arrested. They need to be investigated. I'm sorry, that there's just no option on this one. You cannot allow anti-democratic forces to infect your democracy. Let's see. More recently, Green told the New York Post's Zach Williams that if she and Steve Bannon had organized, wait a minute, I know that name. That if she had, show me this. that if she and Steve Bannon had organized a January 6th attack on the Capitol, they would have executed a successful coup and would have, quote, been armed. As previously reported by Rolling Stones, organizers of the January 6th riots in Washington, D.C. said they participated in dozens of planning meetings with White House staff and members of Trump's team, including Meadows. Meadows was 100% made aware of what was going on. He's also like a regular figure in these really tiny groups of national organizers. So obviously, this is the thing. This is also a big critique that I have and a lot of leftists have of the January 6th committee and their investigations. They're going after, rightfully, the people who physically entered into the building, assaulted people, vandalized, trespassed, all the rest of the stuff. And I think the dude who runs, what's it called? The guy who runs, the individual who runs the, no, it's not the Proud Boys. I think it's like the 3 Percenters. I forget which organization he runs. No, it's not 3 Percenters. It's it's not Q. Shit, I can't remember what it was. I watched a documentary on it like last week or the week before. Whatever. Point is, guys like that absolutely should have already been clapped up by the system as it was. But the problem with the January 6th committee and a lot of liberals' interest when it comes to January 6th is they seem rather uninterested in going after some of the larger figures and in representatives that helped plan a lot of this stuff. At the end of the day, all these guys, whether it's the ones who broke in or whether it's the ones that agitated them to break in, they're all part of the same conspiracy and they're all part of the same group. They all want the same thing, which is to take power. That's what they're all here for. And the fact that that I have still yet to hear that they're going after these guys the way they should be is disappointing, quite frankly. Sorry, I'm looking into something. What in blazes? Okay. Anyway, so these people need to be arrested. There's just no getting around that. You do enough of this kind of illegal activity and conspiracy brewing, you get caught up with the legal entities and with law enforcement. That's just how everything else works, and that's how it should work for these folks. But either way, goodness gracious. So next up. Oh, also, okay, actually, while I'm at a slight impasse, let me just say, if you are enjoying any of what you're seeing, if you find any of this interesting, or if, you could spare it, I'd really appreciate you hit that follow button so that I can do this a little bit more often. We got a good little bit more to go here. It's only 7:20, and we got a couple videos to watch now. So we're going to get into the more, the little bit more looser flow content going forward. But, I'd appreciate any support that you can throw my way. And, that's my one content creator thing that I'm always supposed to do, is remind you guys to follow the channel and like the stream and do stuff. And I really always hate doing that because it just feels unnatural to me. Anyway, let's get going. So we watched this yesterday. We kind of reacted to breaking points, talking about the Twitter file stuff and where they were in terms of, I think they were only covering a certain amount episode up to the Twitter files. I believe it seemed like whenever they talked about stuff, it seemed like they were only on episode 3. So now that they're caught up and I'm caught up, I want to hear kind of what their takes are. They also named the video is Elon Musk creating same censorship regime at Twitter. So I kind of want to see. They pose the question. I kind of want to see if they come to the same conclusion I do.
This also matters significantly because for all the talk now of Twitter, of the Twitter files, of the censorship and the idiocy that was going on inside, Elon is increasingly making it a regime where he is really the only person who is going to decide. Let's go and put this up there on the screen and why I think it matters. So the Twitter head of trust and safety, the new head, says that the platform is emphasizing moving swiftly to address problematic content, even if it means figuring out some specifics later. So why does that matter? What did we just cover? The capricious nature, no principles, no policies, no, basically an invention based upon the ideological nature of Yoel Roth and Vijay Agade.
So I want to also comment. I want to start this by saying, no, there wasn't. So what's revealed in a lot of the documents and a lot of the messaging between all of these people isn't ideological consistency. What it is business consistency. If you notice, they're constantly going back and forth and constantly having different groups review things and try to decide what is and isn't against TOS and what fits into their enforcement of their own TOS. Because, again, this is a private platform. At the end of the day, they don't actually owe its users a fair system or any of that stuff. Unfortunately, they're not actually accountable to any of us. They're just not. So, you know, them making the decisions that they made in terms of banning Trump as a good example, mostly came with a lot of debate and a lot of back and forth between their staff. I don't like this, framing. What is happening? Okay, whatever. I don't like this framing where Twitter, where Twitter higher ups are being treated as equal to what Elon Musk is engaging in right now. If you paid attention to all of those emails and the kind of rhetoric that they were, and like the actual discourse that they were engaging in between each other, like a lot of it was not, almost none of it was like really ideologically grounded. Most of it is debate, and most of it was them second guessing themselves, making whatever decision they needed to make at the time, which kind of aligned with their TOS or kind of aligned with their company values. But like at the end of the day, like when they needed to ban Trump, they eventually did, because they came to the realization that he was creating enough harm just through access to his Twitter account. So that's why that ended up happening. It's only a bit of a conspiracy in that, like, you know, like to say that it's the same is very different, because Elon, here's the difference. Elon is actively engaging in a political campaign to paint not only them, because again, you also have to remember, he did not share any of the censorship that might have gone to the left wing. He is only sharing censorship that affected right-wing operatives and right-wing campaigns. So all, like, these two should already be incredibly skeptical of the information they've been given. But nonetheless, Elon is out in the open engaging in this and actively trying to influence a lot of the rhetoric behind this. Like the rhetoric, or public discourse, I should say. Twitter was not doing this outright. Like that's the big difference here, is that one is actively trying to engage. And also, again, like, you can say whatever, Twitter not being transparent, that's fine. You know, that is true. Twitter was not transparent, but Elon Musk damn sure isn't. Elon Musk is instead quite possibly doing something worse, which is actively using his platform now to kind of paint individuals and paint the former company owners' position as anti-right wing, even though there's no real evidence to that. He's never given us evidence. He's never given us evidence to the contrary. You can't show a bias without showing their response to the thing that they're biased towards as well. So there's a lot of problems with the Twitter files, but let's let them go.
To come up with policies that govern the entire world's, at least, political discourse. And unfortunately, he seems to be moving in that direction. And I don't even know if I prefer either model because I'm curious what you think. At the end of the day, all these trust and safety councils also, it's bullshit. Like, you know, you can include like no one's ever going to decide. When Facebook tried to do this, Mark Zuckerberg, he created that whole democracy governance board.
They're like,
and then they kicked it back to him. They're like, no, dude, like it's your company. Like you decide whether Trump is on the platform or not.
They're like,
that's how this works. It's a private institution. It's a private company. They make money based on their ad sales. There is no version of this. It will always be subject to privatized interests, to money-making interests. There's no getting around that. Elon's not getting around it. Zuckerberg didn't get around it. Dorsey didn't get around it. At the end of the day, it's a business before it's anything else.
like,
Well,
fake
shit.
Supreme Court.
Right, he's like his fake Supreme Court, exactly. And I'm like, look, maybe it's a good thing to just know. It's like, actually, it is all in the hands of Elon. Under Jack, it was all in his hands too. You can like it or you can hate it. I think we should change it. But it does show you that the new boss is basically moving in the same direction. Like, you may like his current orientation, but, you know, one of the things that a lot of people were pointing to, one of the previous leaks that came out after the Twitter files, is that almost immediately after Elon took over the platform, they applied the same shadow banning to the Elon Jet account, which tracked his private jet. Or, you know, I don't think it's a surprise that the Chappelle video was immediately taken down by the main account that put it out. Luckily, there were other people who ripped it, who put it out there. We were able to put it out on our show, but it does just underscore like the capricious nature of which all of these platforms are being governed, and Elon really moving in that direction. So look.
So I hope this is a lesson. I really hope this is a lesson for Sauger, in that you can't get fixated, and you shouldn't fixate on individuals, especially when individuals aren't like, the problem is not that Elon Musk owns Twitter. That's not the problem. The problem is not Jack Dorsey owns Twitter. The problem has nothing to do with these individual people owning Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. Whatever it is. I don't know who owns TikTok. Those aren't the problems. The problem is that Facebook and other social media companies that are incredibly large and hold an incredibly large amount of the communication infrastructure that we use today does not have a public interest, does not have public investment. At the end of the day, these platforms are for one person and one person only. And it's for Elon, it was for Jack, it's for Zuckerberg. At the end of the day, that's what these platforms are for. And this is what happens when you allow for too much of this, too much deregulation in the tech center and too much deregulation in terms of large public utilities. This is what happens. So I don't know how much he's going to learn this lesson, but this is a lesson in systemic critique, not individual. I don't care that Elon Musk can own whatever the hell he damn well pleases. The problem is what owning too many resources and the political power that it gives you through ownership of those resources. It might be right now he owns Twitter, but, in the future, Elon Musk buys, another car manufacturer, 2 car manufacturers, 3 car manufacturers. And then what? Then how many of your cars on the road are controlled by one guy? Like this isn't good from a monopolistic standpoint. Like this is why you need stronger monopoly regulation in this country. We recently saw, I think the Xbox and Activision purchase got shut down. That's good. That's a good thing. But that needs to be happening more for more of these companies, more of these mergers. We can't keep having more of our resources and more of our infrastructure monopolized by private interests.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what else that can be done. What I would say is I wish that they would just sit down. Like, I understand you have to run a company, but You need to sit down and publish like a manifesto almost of sorts. You should be like, these are the principles that we believe in. This is how we're going to govern.
No. Stop it. Stop it. That's not how companies work. That's not how money-making organizations work. Company values, a company's value means nothing. Their whole value statement, their mission doesn't mean anything. They are there to make money before they are there to do anything else. Anything. That's what Twitter is for, is to make money, not to offer a platform for free speech. The only place that's created as a platform for free speech right now is your local fucking park. And like, I don't know, your local town square. How few of them we have left. Those are public spaces. Facebook is not. I know it feels like Facebook is a public space, but it's not. It's a private place. It's a private building, essentially. So understand that. I know it feels like it's public, but it's not. And until Sagar specifically recognizes that, he is always going to run into companies where he thinks if only they stuck to their values, if only they stayed positive, if only this, if only that, if only through the kindness of a billionaire or millionaire's values, do we get to have platforms that look out for us. It's not going to happen. The only institutions that do that are called government, because you vote for the people who represent you in that government. We solved this problem to a degree. It was called organized government. And how you address these things is through public force, through the government.
Platform, but when you move in an ad hoc basis like they are right now, that's how you end up getting Kathy Griffin banned for no reason, right? You know, comedy is legal now.
They have a right to.
They
have a right to.
Yeah, I think it should be, but but you have to come up with real policies and then enforce.
You don't have a right to a Twitter account.
Well,
I'm sorry.
And we
already
know
you just
that
don't.
he basically is operating in exactly the same way that the one-off, like based on my own personal inclinations, way that Twitter was operating previously, because we've seen that in his decision to keep Alex Jones.
Which again, that's not really a fair. I don't really think that's a fair characterization. There was a lot of communication between a lot of people going back and forth and constantly trying to find different ways to justify certain bans or certain restrictions. As much as they're painting this as a one guy makes the decision, did we not see in the texts and in the messages that there were people actively trying to convince Jack Dorsey of this or that opinion? So we obviously know that it was never just up to Jack Dorsey. It was never just up to Yoel Roth. There were teams of people. They were asking for research based on this stuff. These were at least mildly informed decisions. Whereas it's not with Elon. We don't, it's just not. He's just swinging the gavel on whatever he wants. He's not asking for research. He's not looking for any of this shit. He's just saying, "Oh, I don't like the Elon's plane account. Gone. Does it break a rule? I don't give a fuck. Gone. It's my company." He is running this in a much more authoritarian way than any of these Twitter bureaucracies ever did. So,
Jones banned. And to ultimately, ban Kanye West as well. I mean, he argued, listen, the things, no one here is defending Nazism. Kanye West, the things he's been saying have been absolutely abhorrent, disgusting. Sharing swastikas is deplorable. However, Musk argued that West sharing an image that included a swastika was a, quote, incitement to violence. We have a lot of Supreme Court First Amendment precedent that says, no, it is not. It's not even close to that. So again, you are just using your own sort of personal decision-making, what offends you, what you think is over the line, versus anything approaching a standard or consistent.
Whoa. First of all, swastikas and whatnot are symbols of hate speech. So we do have hate speech laws in this country.
Principle, incitement to violence is exactly the thing that they tried to use to justify banning Trump from the platform, which also, if you just looked at the tweets, you couldn't argue that they were a direct incitement to violence in the same.
So this is also this is true while also obscuring the actual conversation that was being had at Twitter. At Twitter, there were people who were arguing that the individual tweets were not breaking TOS, and that the individual tweets that he was engaging in after the 6th were not in a vacuum worthy of a ban. But what they ended up doing was contextualizing that based on further information, like past tweets, based on Twitter trends that they were noticing, and discussions that they were seeing from right-wing Twitter accounts. They're making this seem like banning Trump was not an informed decision and not one that was that they came to through discussion, discourse, and debate. They clearly did. They asked for research. They were constantly asking about how to frame certain things or what arguments could be made to make the case to ban Trump. I don't like this. I don't like this framing whatsoever. Because as much as I don't like Twitter's bureaucracy, and as much as I do think too little power was in too little hands, in no way while reading any of that yesterday was I under the impression that this was a single person swinging the hammer in whatever direction they felt like that morning. At no point. And again, I'm going to say it again. You should also be incredibly skeptical of any of the Twitter Files content because it was curated. What Sagar and Crystal want are transparency. What they got was opacity. They got a sliding scale that, shockingly, was only visible when it was based on right-wingers. Is it not incredibly noticeable that the only evidence of malpractice in terms of bans, in terms of censorship, all came down on one side? Because we know it happens to the left wing. We know it does. They mention Antifa accounts getting yeeted. So we know it's happening. But it's curious that they did not spend any time, and that any of the so-called reporters that they gave this information to and access to weren't allowed to see some of that information. We covered earlier that the Trump administration did the same thing that the Biden administration did in terms of asking for certain tweets to be removed, asking for censorship in their favor. But Matt Taibbi already said, we've been told it exists. We weren't given it, which should ring a lot of alarm bells in your head, because that's fucking shady. You can't claim bias towards one group without examining the bias towards the opposing group. It's only one side of the story. You can't say Twitter's biased against the right wing without showing me whether they did or did not also wield the censorship hammer against the left wing. It's dishonest. None of this is dishonest. And none of it should be taken as seriously as it is, quite frankly.
Same way that you can't argue that Kanye's tweet was a direct incitement to violence. You can say they're terrible, you can say they're deplorable, you can say they're disgusting. That doesn't mean that it constitutes, under the First Amendment case law, a direct incitement to violence. And again,
this is a private institution. I'm sorry, you don't have the same freedom of speech rights within this private institution, especially when it comes to section I think it's 320, I think it could be, whatever gives social media sites the ability to publish anything on their website without liability. So understand, hate speech is illegal in certain cases. And swastikas, again, are symbols of hate speech. If you're arguing that he should get to post swastikas all day, that's fine. But in no way is Twitter obligated to leave up those kinds of what's the word? That kind of speech. Like at the end of the at the end of the day, like if you're throwing up swastikas, if you're doing all this stuff in private places, you will be removed, because those private places have a right to have you not yelling racial slurs and like yelling about the Jews in their restaurant or whatever establishment. Like there are exceptions to your freedom of speech, and Nazi shit is hate speech, is incitement to violence. There is no version of Nazi ideology that isn't incitement of violence. There isn't a version of it. There is no peaceful Nazi. It just doesn't exist. I'm sorry.
We've had really clear case law on this front. So if you're a free speech warrior and you're going with the First Amendment, you wouldn't have banned Kanye West. You would have allowed Alex Jones likely back on the platform. And it's because of your own personal views and how those particular acts struck you personally that you ended up making those decisions. And as you know, I'm not a fan of either one of these people. I don't enjoy defending them and their right to speak. But if you are being consistent with your principles, that is the way that Elon would have handled these things.
And let's put the final one up there from Elon himself. He's actually spelled this out about the new Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, even on freedom of speech. And the problem was, he's like, negative.
Wait, that was Twitter's policy before, numbnuts. The way that they censored people on Twitter was to de-amplify their reach. That's how they did it. They did not just boldly take away your ability to tweet unless you violated TOS multiple times. They simply de-amplified you, which is fine.
And hate speech will be max deboosted and demonetized, and no ads or other revenue to Twitter. Who decides what's negative? Who decides what's hate? Is it the Elon Jet account? Is it not?
Okay.
Same boss, old boss, same as the new boss. Like
it could be. It's funny because what we now have is one guy saying negative and hate tweets, and Sagar makes the point. Oh, who's gonna make that decision? So who do you think he's going to hire? He already hired his fucking trust and safety team. He's just going to end up fucking hiring another team to assess this stuff, to research this stuff. This was their job, to understand when people were engaging in hate speech, when they were engaging in critique of hate speech, and when hate speech was just being an asshole, but wasn't hate speech. And eventually bled into incitement of violence. There is no, and let's be clear, there is almost no objective line for what is incitement of violence. Almost none. Because speech and stochastic speech can be just as dangerous, and sometimes more dangerous and more effective in spreading violent rhetoric.
What is happening here? I think it's a massive problem. They need to go back to what they originally said. Otherwise, they're just going to find themselves in the same boat, and you're just going to have as much of a complete and total, you're going to have more capricious decision making. Elon saying Kanye's tweet was an incitement of violence because it made him incite to violence. It's like, dude, that is not what.
That's not the way this works.
It's Nazi shit. It's Nazi shit.
It is
incitement of
how
violence.
Exactly they intend on running the platform there, Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, ultimately, there is no private solution to this problem. There's only a public solution to this problem. It is what Macron laid out.
Okay.
You have to have some.
All right, Crystal finally coming in at the fucking 5.5 minute mark of a 7-minute video. Crystal finally coming in with the systemic critique and the actual solution, which is a public invested platform. Which, fun fact, will end up having TOS and will end up yeeting people off of it because of their speech. You can't avoid this. There is no, we just don't enforce any barriers on free speech. You just can't. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. It's childish.
of democratic check. The government has to be more involved. At least, listen, the government's far from perfect. We are critics here all the time. But at least you have a process where you can get some sort of transparency, where there is some sort of democratic input, where it is not just solely subject to the whims and personal proclivities of one individual and how they feel on.
You know what's really funny also is she wants democratic input, yet they had an all-staff meeting at Twitter about banning Trump, and the Twitter employees were upset that management and that ownership was not taking strong enough action, because they were on the ground like any normal worker. They were on the ground and they saw the writing for what it was. They saw how things were going, and they saw the language that was being spread and the propaganda that was being passed around. They understood what was happening. But Twitter's, head of, the top end of Twitter's management and ownership, they, at the end of the day, they don't have to listen to their employees. We had some semblance of democratic control in the previous regime of Twitter. I know, seems crazy, seems fucking wild. It's almost like everything that they're advocating for already was happening. There was already teams of people whose job it was to research this stuff, and whose job it was to understand the dog whistles and understand the veiled rhetoric that was being pushed. So
on that particular day. So, there have been sort of like competing debates about how to deal with this issue of content moderation in the new digital public square, whether it's at Twitter, whether it's at Facebook,
it's not a public square.
Any other property.
It's not a public square. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just not. It feels like it, but it's not. It's not a public square.
And one idea was, well, we just need to start new companies that have like better people with better ideology running them. I think we have seen already to this point with Elon at the helm, that model is never going to work. You just can't have this much power if you accept that these.
Go ask Gitter, go ask Parler, go ask any of these other social media sites, and you will find if you have the barest minimum of TOS, your platforms turn into fucking Nazi farms and child. I've heard I'm not allowed to say that. So, but and CP spreading like that. That's all you end up getting when you allow just this open free speech that they're advocating for. That's all it ends up turning into. Because the only people who benefit from a relaxed TOS are the people who are going to abuse it and the people who are going to do sussy shit.
Platforms matter, and I think that they do. You cannot consolidate this much power in the hands of any one person or small group of people. It is going to end up being very poorly run and a very bad decision for our democracy.
Well said.
Hey guys, ready or not?
I don't. Okay. Well, so they both kind of come to the same place that I'm at, which is good to see. Hopefully Sagar kind of comes to the understanding that this isn't the solution that we always think it is, that just having a tech billionaire that you like running your social media site, that's not really how any of this works. That's not the way that you address this kind of systemic issue of moderation of language on the internet and on social media companies. But oh my god, it's just, at the end of the day, we all know what the solution is, which is to take Twitter, which is a private platform, and make it public. That's it. If you want to solve this problem, if you want transparency, if you want all of these things, that's what's going to have to happen. Twitter needs to be a public resource if you want public levels of transparency. So advocating for whatever billionaire to buy stuff, whatever that is, ain't gonna cut it. And you know, it's not enough. So sick and tired of hearing about the Twitter stuff, because it's a private institution. Another guy bought it, and now he's doling out little information to make himself seem like a better arbiter of this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, not much has really changed. It's still pretty much the same platform it always was. It's just a different guy running it. And which also, hate speech has increased quite a bit on the platform. So there you go. This is the solution we wanted, I guess. But, okay. I'm going to take like a quick break. I think I need to grab a little refill of water, and we'll be right back. So, let's do... I never remember what we did. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, we'll do this one. All right, welcome back, everybody. So let's just get right into it. The right wing in this country has been, how do I say this? A bit hyper focused on trans people and what's the other one? And LGBT people. They seem to be really just fixated on it. And I saw this little story here. It seemed mildly interesting, but also I kind of want to look at the right wing response to it. Didn't mean to do that. All right, so a U.S. nuclear official was fired after accused of stealing luggage from an airport. So, as you can kind of see, this person is, yeah, you know, we got kind of a weird, I'm not sure what the weird goatee stash combos going on. Not sure how I feel about the mullet, but the right has been like really upset about this person. So let's get the story, and then I kind of want to go to a reaction. A top nuclear waste official was fired by the Department of Energy after the Biden administration came under fire following allegations of a string of luggage thefts. Sam Brinton, who identifies as non-binary and served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Department of Energy's Office of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition, was charged in 2 separate incidents of stealing suitcases from U.S. airports. So, we have a case of a non-binary person breaking the law, which is normal because all groups of people break the law sometimes. Okay. I'm not sure what the outrage is over, but let's read a little bit more. A Department of Energy spokesperson said Sam Brinton is no longer a DOE employee. By law, the Department of Energy cannot comment further on personal matters. Brinton was placed on leave by the department last month after being charged with felony theft when police claimed they stole a woman's Vera Bradley suitcase in September from the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. An arrest warrant was issued on Friday on charges of grand larceny after Brinton was accused of stealing the luggage of another woman from the Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas in July. Brinton was caught on surveillance cameras at the airport making off with a bag from the Las Vegas airport's baggage claim area. The luggage included $1,700 worth of jewelry, $850 worth of clothes, and $500 worth of makeup. Jesus Christ, maybe don't travel with that much stuff. According to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Fox News reported. Shocker, Fox News reporting on this. Brinton was described as, quote, a white male adult wearing a white t-shirt with a large rainbow-colored atomic nuclear symbol designed by the department. Okay. This is also them. They are bald. I have thoughts about bald people, but we're going to keep moving on. Lipstick matches the necklace, matches the jacket. Solid combo. Good fit. Sam Brinton, whose bio describes them as a, quote, well-known advocate for the LGBTQ youth, was appointed in June amid much fanfare. However, the theft scandal has sparked criticism from Republican leaders who criticize the Biden administration's wokeness for hiring them. So, already I can kind of see where this is going, because they're simply going to say, oh, you hired this person because they were woke, not realizing what they actually were was a criminal. Which, I realize that the crime happened the crime happened a little bit earlier, but upon investigation, this person was charged and a warrant was out for them. And then, fun fact, they fired them. This person was fired for the crime that they are allegedly, or what they are alleged to have committed. So what's the controversy here? The controversy is that this person was non-binary. That's it. That's the controversy. That is as far as this goes. Because people, if this was a part of the crime thing, they would be saying you hired somebody who committed a crime, to which the obvious outcome or solution, I should say, what you're asking them to do is fire that person, right? You say like, hey, the person you hired broke the law. What are you going to do about it? Well, aren't you going to fire that person? And the Biden administration goes, oh, yeah, actually we are. And then you go, well, you only hired them because they were woke. And they go, what are you talking about? I hired them because they were, okay. Okay. Touch grass. Jesus Christ. Okay. Brighton, right. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton called Brinton a person clearly unfit for a high level of national security role. Hey, look, you and it's really funny. It seems like you and Biden kind of agree because he fired this person. And slammed President Biden for prioritizing wokeness over competence. At what point? So, I don't know this person's credentials, but I would love to know right now, based on the information right now, were they unqualified? Did they have a background in the field that they were working in? I don't think you get to the Department of Energy by just being like a TikToker. I don't think that's a thing. Representative Troy Niels demanded them to be fired immediately and their security clearance revoked. Oh, well, you got what you wanted, so what are you bitching about? A group of Republicans, including Marjorie Taylor Greene and Andrew Klein, sent a letter to Energy Department on Tuesday urging Brinton's removal. We demand the resignation of Sam Brinton. We implore you to set aside petty... No, I'm not going to do it in the voice. Petty politics and appoint only the most qualified and dedicated individuals to influence America's energy sector. How do you know that? Are you sure that they? Do you have any idea to their qualifications? I'm kind of curious. Let's find out. Sam qualifications. Let's find out together. All right. Nope. Please stop. Sam Otis Brinton is an American nuclear engineer and LGBT activist. They were appointed as deputy. Actually, no. Give me. Yes. Give me education. Anyway. Journalist, LGBTQ nation. I want to see. Okay, Brinton graduated from Kansas State University, with a bachelor of science in nuclear engineering and vocal music. While attending the university, they organized its first Pride in 2010. They have a dual Master of Science degree in nuclear science and engineering, technology, and policy program from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from UMass. This person is a UMass master's degree. Like they hold a master's from UMass and already had a bachelor's of science. So understand, when Marjorie Taylor Greene gets on here, where is it? We demanded the resignation, Report you to set aside petty politics. They did. They fired them and appoint only the most qualified and dedicated individuals. They're qualified. At no point, if you notice in this entire article, have they talked about Sam's qualifications. They haven't been interested in Brinton's qualifications. Not once in this entire article, and not once have any of these Republicans mentioned that they're unqualified. Only that they were woke. Understand what this person did? Not okay. Stealing things, fun fact, not okay. But none of that has any bearing on their position within the Department of Energy. As a Department of Energy employee, they were most likely, considering they had a bachelor's and double master's. I'm pretty sure it's a double master's. Let me make sure I got that right. I have a dual master's. I'm pretty sure with a bachelor's of science and a dual master's of science from UMass, this person was qualified. But the thing that they're upset about is that they're non-binary, is that they don't identify as one of the two genders that Republicans and conservatives writ large think exist. So, well-known advocate, wokeness over competence. This person was simultaneously competent and woke. But notice, they're not interested in any of that. The fact that they were woke immediately disqualifies any competence. And when they mean woke, they mean non-binary. This is just Republicans saying you can't hire gay people because they can't be competent. Because you would only hire a gay person, not for their competence, not for their ability, but for their identity. That's what they're arguing here. These people. So, related to this, I want to take a look at known grifter Tulsi Gabbard and her take on all of this. So let's take a look at somebody's spoken words here. Let's take a look.
Tulsi Gabbard's a Fox News contributor who joins us now. Are you noticing that?
I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay, I'm assuming this is different. We'll find out.
Are you noticing that people are
Not sure what
looking
the
the other
chyron's
way
for.
at pretty glaring red flags when a contributor who joins us now?
Jailed for, okay, stalking, okay.
Are you noticing that people are looking the other way at pretty glaring red flags when it comes to qualifications?
What red flags?
Character. Just
what red flags? They had a dual masters.
To hire people based upon their sexual identity, and it's having some
I find it really funny.
Repercussions.
I find it really funny that that Jesse Waters, legendarily unimpressive person. Jesse Waters is a water boy. That's what he is. He is a genetic loser. Like, the guy is spiritually a fucking loser. If I met him in high school, I would shove him into a locker. But somehow this guy can see only a pattern of favoritism when it comes to a group he's not in. Meanwhile, working at a place that suspiciously advocates for the traditional hierarchical structure for our society. Interesting.
It is, Jesse. You know, this is one of the unfortunate.
Also, you mean like all hiring decisions? Have you ever, I don't think Jesse Waters has ever held a real job in his life. I want everyone to keep the phrase in mind. It's not what you know, it's who you know. These kinds of people say that all the time, and these types of people would not be remiss in saying it about anything else. At the end of the day, Jesse Waters' kids are going to make it farther on the basis that they're Jesse Waters' kids. Just keep that in mind. Same with Biden. It's called human error. It's called human bias. That's kind of how it works.
Fortunate reasons why I left the Democratic Party was this obsession with the externals, with the superficial, with the labels. And it's sad, you know, it goes against the very message that Dr. Martin Luther King had, that we would judge each other based.
Notice, they're not playing the video of them stealing anything. Don't you think they'd be upset? Don't you think they'd be showing screenshots of this person committing a crime? Is it not interesting to you that of all the possible pictures they could have put up of this person, they didn't pick a mugshot, they didn't pick camera footage from them committing a crime, they picked a guy wearing a dress. Actually, that's wrong. I'm sorry. A person wearing a dress. They're non-binary. They probably use they, them. Apologies for that. So understand, this is what they're upset. They're they could give a shit about the law breaking. The law breaking is the bug. is just the thing that they see as allowing them to pass this critique on with just to launder it with just a little bit more nuance, or not nuance, I should say, just a little bit more cover. They can be just a little bit more open because they can always say that this person broke the law. But at the end of the day, the thing that they're upset about is that they had the audacity to wear a dress and wear lipstick. That's the thing that they're upset about.
Based on the content of our character rather than the color of our skin, rather than sexuality, rather than all of these other labels that are unfortunately used so often to divide us. And as a result, rather than treating each other,
are you going to show any of the law breaking?
Seeing each other as children of God that we are.
Gay reporters blast Biden for failure to vet luggage thief. Is that happening? I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the chyrons on Fox News are honest whatsoever. Considering, let's all remember, the thing that you would want. This person broke the law. They work for the Department of Energy in a high enough position, I suppose. They work for the Department of Energy. Let's leave it at that. I don't know in the structure where they were, but they work in the Department of Energy. You know, they work for the public. They're a public servant. They broke the law. What would you want the response be if this was anybody else? What would the ask be? To fire them, which they did already. It already happened. They already fired this person. They don't work there anymore. They're being investigated. They might get charged. They might. I don't know what the. I'm not sure what the sentences are for, you know, stealing luggage or whatever that might be. They might be held. They might be found guilty in a court of law. But that's not what they're upset about, and that's not the thing that they're focused on. They're not worried about law breaking. They're worried and they're upset by non-binary people, by LGBT folks, just being in these positions. The law breaking is just a fun way to launder that.
All equal and should be treated with respect. As such, we have people who are hired or fired based on these superficial so-called identities. The negative consequence is you have people who are
also,
in positions
remember, this person is highly educated.
They get hired, but they're not necessarily qualified for the job.
Well, I wouldn't vote for anybody that was actually behind bars during the election, not once but twice. And I wouldn't actually hire anybody like Sammy, not because what he does in his personal life, because that's fine with me, but someone who broadcasts their sexual life so graphically all over the internet.
See, Jesse Waters is too fucking stupid to understand that he needs to keep his critique within the bounds of legality. You just heard him. The problem, you know, he said he wouldn't want to vote for somebody, or he wouldn't want somebody who broke the law doing that. But what he's more upset about is them flaunting their sexuality, which I didn't realize wearing dresses in public was sexual. I did not realize this. This is new information for me. I always thought they were fashion, clothing. But, you know, as usual, you know, these guys seem to find every possible way they can to make this about their identity.
That might make me think, you know what, maybe we shouldn't trust them with, I don't know, spent nuclear rods.
Yeah, you know, I think it's about going deeper into what really matters. As a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, I can tell you that I don't care what my soldiers' race, religion, or sexual preferences are. It makes no difference to me. What I look for is what is the content of their character. Are they people who embody selfless service, personal courage, respect, a commitment to the mission and serving our country? The bigger...
You know, I didn't even read this, but let's read this together really quickly. One second, I have to escape, please.
consequences.
I said escape, please. What? Why did you move so much? Theft allegations. In October 2022, Brinton was charged with felony theft after allegedly stealing a woman's suitcase. In November, Brinton was placed on leave. Wait, okay. And this person was hired, 1 second. Career, 2016. Nuclear waste. Don't care. In February, when did they? Okay, here we go. Listed them as director. And in May of 2020, they were its director of global. In 2022, Brinton's profile at the Department of Energy indicated their previous work with the Breakthrough Institute. So they started working before this, then. Yeah, active. No, that's fine. That's fine. They went to school. Yeah, they began working December 12th. That's fine. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, here we go. Yahoo lets us know that Brinton may be the first openly gender fluid person in federal government. In July 2022, South Florida Gay News reported that according to Brinton, while they were welcomed with open arms, the Levels organization. So let's get this straight. Let's get the timeline straight really quickly. Let's get this straight, because apparently Jesse Waters, Fox News, and Tulsi Gabbard, people who are much more well-funded than I am with my little laptop here. Let's get this pattern straight here. This person is hired sometime in the summer. Allegations come out against them for theft in late November, and in early October, they are fired. Now, you know, maybe I'm crazy, but that sounds like and again, you can call me crazy here, but that sounds like the most normal thing to happen to anybody who is charged with theft or is alleged to committed theft by the government. Like, yeah, they got news about it in late November is when the allegations came out, and in early December, probably through an internal investigation, they were fired. So again, this has nothing to do with their qualifications or with the way that the Biden administration has handled this. They handled this like they would anything else. This person is qualified like everybody else. What they're obsessed with, and again, I know I've said it a million times, but like, I want to reinforce this. What they're obsessed with is them wearing a dress. That's what's bothering them. Nothing else. Everything else is just a smokescreen. So,
of all of this stuff we're seeing here, this identity politics, the Democratic Party's obsession with it, is our country is being divided. We are being torn apart.
It's funny. Nobody in the Democratic Party, we never bring this stuff up. It's you guys who get really, really, really obsessed about it.
What we are known as around the world, those values of excellence that we are known for around the world, frankly, are diminishing.
Do you think we're ever going to see the surveillance footage of Sammy wheeling away the Vera Bradley bag?
Have we not seen that?
From the airport?
Seen,
or do you think they're going to suppress it like they tried to do the Pauly P. DUI footage?
I think there is.
I'm not even sure what he's referencing,
but transparency, and you can see the bias in those.
Wait, one of them is a police department that's suppressing information on a possible whoa, shocker there. It's not like cops don't turn off their body cams.
Who are very quick to leak and release information or videos or whatever when it serves their political narrative.
Notice, not one picture.
Not one, everything gets thrown into
solitary picture.
The evidence disappears.
Yeah, I have a feeling if Tulsi pinched a bag that cost about $3,000 at the airport and hightailed it out to the taxi, I feel like we'd find out about that probably the next day, and it would be on every station in America.
Tulsi would never pinch a bag from anywhere for any reason.
I
would
believe
go barefoot.
You. I believe you. Thank you very much, Tulsi.
Thanks, Jesse.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling
Sean, shut up. Also, I want to point this out really quickly. Jesse Waters is talking about, you know, are we ever going to see footage? Are we ever going to see this, see that, whatever. You know, it's not hard, guys. It's a fucking Google search. It's really not hard. It's just not. It's right here. It's right on Google. Type in person's name and luggage. It's right here. Fucking Christ, these people pretend like there's some goddamn conspiracy to like suppress video of this person. We don't need it. There's a picture right there. There's victim's luggage right there. God damn, spend so much time. And again, notice. And the way you know that like their whole like theft like angle of this is all just bullshit smokescreen is that they only mention it at the very top of the segment and at the very bottom. But the entire middle section is just bitching and moaning about trans people or gay people or non-binary people, LGBT people in general, just existing within government apparatuses. That's what they're complaining about. That's what they're upset with. He's mostly getting attention because he's queer. That's why. Yeah. Medium. Yeah. The attention Sam Brinton is getting is strictly because they're non-binary. That's it. That's literally it. And they wear dresses. That's all. That's what they focus on. They spent the entire segment on that. That's it. Like that's the only thing. But so from one right-wing news source to another, but this time we're gonna go a bit smaller. So when was this? I think she posted, I don't know, I don't even know when this show specifically was. I'm gonna make the assumption that law gauge, yes. Let's see. No, wait. Where's my link? What happened to my link? Oh, right, okay. So yeah, he's probably a thief. It's fine. Like they can go to jail. They can do all the rest of that stuff. It has no bearing on their sexual orientation or anything. It's fucking stupid. But that's what they spend their time on. So I don't know what to tell them. So Candace Owens continues to give us wonderful content and give us really a look into her confused, addled, smooth brain and how she thinks society works, I guess. I'm not sure. But Candace Owens, I guess, got on her platform and wanted to kind of talk about the fucking the positive aspects of discrimination while not really understanding what discrimination is. So let's take oh God, I know why that happens. I know why that happens now. I now have an understanding. If you're wondering, this is what happens when I go full screen. Which you might say, wow, that's fucking terrifying. But I figured it out. Unfortunately, it's mainly because I have a light mode, dark mode switch on. All right, let's hear Candace talk about. Let's see what Candace has to say. This got a lot of attention, I guess, over the weekend.
I definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna turn that down just a bit.
Discriminate against men that paint their nails and wear dresses. I don't really care how you feel about that. You can wear your dress and you can paint your nails, but I'd prefer you keeping 100 feet away from a playground and all of the feet away from my children and me. If I see you, I'm going to cross the street with
Welcome
my kids.
aboard.
Oh, Candace is not accepting. We need to be more.
So yeah, you're if someone if you're allowed to do that, that's okay. But that's not the reason. So the funny thing is, here's the thing. Here's the real. This is again another one of those like very thinly veiled arguments that Candace Owens. I swear, I've never heard her make an argument that wasn't like fucking rice paper thin. Candace, you're allowed to not hire people for dumb fuck ass reasons. That's fine. It's okay. You can just be an asshole and not hire people if they come in, if they like a man comes in and has like some nail polish. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. You're also allowed to not hire somebody if like they wore a green shirt. You can do that. I know it seems crazy. But Candace, You dumbass. You just did the if they're wearing nail polish of whatever color, or I guess painted their nails, and a dress. We know who you're talking about. Like, for fuck's sake, just say it with your chest. Just get it over with. You don't want to hire trans people. You don't want to hire non-binary people. Just come out with it. Just come out with it. Just be open about it. Come on. We all know who you're talking about. You're not just talking about like your local Starbucks barista who has his fingernails painted. That's not who you're talking about. Like, chill the fuck out.
Accepting of the people, the men who like to wear panties. I'm good. You can be more accepting of it. You run that risk when you see a guy who looks like a freak and you're with your children.
Ooh, risk. Notice that. Risk. What risk is she talking about? The risk of child sexual assault? Ooh, can't be that one. That's not. We find no disproportionate rate of child sexual assault in gay or trans men. So, ooh, it's really tough on that one. It's almost like when she says risk, she means risk of being around gay people, which, you know, Candace, there was a time when people like your bosses would have said that they don't want to risk letting their kids around people who look like you. Keep that in mind, Candace. Keep that in mind.
Children and say, to be accepting, I'm going to put my kids next to him. I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to go, that looks weird, and I'm going to move away from it. It's that simple. And by the way, speaking of that sort of discrimination, literally any person, no matter how normal they look, if they are at the playground when I take my kids and they're by themselves, I'm like, red flag. Get my kid away from that. Why are you at the playground by yourself?
What a fucking judgmental bitch. Honest to God, like I'm not gonna lie. Candace, I think more than anybody, and I'll own up to this, Candace triggers the fuck out of me as like a colored person. Like, as somebody who is brown and has to deal with the consequences of that in our society, which, you know, I'm fine. But I cannot help but be utterly triggered by this bitch coming out here on her fucking platform and just kind of being an asshole all the time and embracing this incredibly judgmental, this incredibly narrow-minded, small-minded viewpoint and pretending that she's brave. That's probably the most offensive part about Candace Owens, is that she pretends to be brave, she pretends to have valor. Because what? She openly hates people. And the worst part is, she openly hates people for money. Candace, deep down, is a miserable person. A miserable excuse for what we call human beings, quite frankly. And also, a judgmental bitch.
Oh, there's no scenario where you should just be an adult at a playground by yourself, especially if you're a male. I suddenly have eyes on them and I'm watching them near the other kids.
It's called a public space.
Feels wrong. It's a healthy discrimination for me. I discriminate against doctors, dentists, trainers. I don't want a dentist with bad teeth. I don't want Lizzo being my trainer. If you want her to be your trainer, have her be your trainer.
Is Lizzo a trainer? No, she's a singer. Dumb fuck. What? She's a fucking rapper. Why would you? I mean, I know she's just doing the fat shaming thing, which, like, whoa, Candace, you've really stellar rhetoric you've got there. God, fucking strong arguments coming from you. Like, okay, Lizzo's overweight. Cool. You know what the difference between Lizzo being overweight and Candace Owens not being overweight is? Lizzo is happy with herself. Candace Owens proves every single day how much she probably judges herself and how much deep down she hates the person that she is.
I am going to discriminate against somebody that is that clinically obese, saying that.
Also, this isn't this, like, again, I guess nobody really like told her that, like, there's legal discrimination and then there's like just regular ass discrimination. Like, what she's trying to do is is devalue the term discrimination so that it doesn't have the negative connotation that it actually has. She's trying to make every decision you make, she's trying to make every negative opinion that you hold hold the same weight and definition as discrimination. Oh, you don't like Reese's? Oh, well, you're discriminatory towards Reese's cups. You don't like you don't like I don't know. Somebody give me something. I don't really care what. You don't like fuck, I don't know. You don't like well, I mean there is short discrimination also. Like, what is this? Obesity, medically unhealthy and dangerous. Are you high? Shake my head, psychos. Do Ninja Fart. Do Ninja Fart, if you'd like to come on this program at any point, I'll just point you down to the email address, and you can come and you can try to make your arguments over Discord instead of being a coward and just spewing off in chat a bunch of dumb shit. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted, fuck no. Yeah, I know fuck no, because you have no fucking stones, that's why. You wouldn't dare come on here and try to argue any of this. You're already always, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Yeah, guess what? And you're in the space right now. You're in my space. So how about you fuck right off? Anyway, my point being is that Candace Owens, at the end of the day, is really just trying to tie mild dislike of things, or just general dislike of random things, of stuff that doesn't really matter from a societal standpoint, and tie those equally to racist, bigoted stances. That's all she's really doing. She's just trying to launder racism, bigotry, homophobia, all the rest of that stuff, and trying to launder it through like, hey, this is just like when you say you don't like the green M&M or you don't like the blue M&M. That's all discrimination is. Discrimination doesn't really mean anything. Even though I bet you if you ask Candace Owens, she discriminates against, she believes that there's white discrimination. So spare me that one there, Candace.
They're going to get me healthy. I am good on that. So all I was to say is, obviously, discrimination is built into us for a reason. It's a survival mechanism, right? We want to survive. And so when we get that feeling, my mother used to refer to it as the heebie-jeebies. When someone just gives you the heebie-jeebies, even if you can't quite put your finger on why, I think you need to lean into that. And I actually think that society would be safer if we discriminated more. What's happening now is insanity because they're telling us to accept everything. They say, it's fine. He just has a fetish. He likes to wear panties.
Ooh, I like that one. We should just be You see, more discrimination is the answer. That's how we truly get to a more functional society. If more people are discriminatory towards each other for random traits. Because again, discrimination based on, we have laws against discrimination on specific grounds. You're allowed to hire somebody. You're allowed to deny somebody a job because they wore a green shirt. You're allowed to do it. You're a dumb fuck, but you're allowed to do it. What you're not allowed to do is not hire somebody for their identity. What Candace is advocating for is a time in America where black people wouldn't get hired, Hispanics wouldn't get hired, the Irish wouldn't get hired, based on their identities. And that's what she's interested in advocating for. Now, the reason for that, you might say to yourself, why would Candace, a black woman, be interested in advocating for a hiring environment that would disproportionately affect her? Well, here's the answer. It wouldn't affect her. Candace is not a regular African-American citizen in this country. What Candace has become is a tool and a mouthpiece for specifically moneyed interests, but from a cultural standpoint, white supremacist interests. Meaning that if she got the society that she'd be advocating for, she's well aware that at the end of the day, she'll be the one on top. She'll be the top and most respected of the black people. At the end of the day, she's just being, I think you know the term. I think you know the term. We've all seen Django Unchained. We all know who she is. But that's what she's hedging her bets on. Because she wants to be Samuel L. Jackson in that movie. And she knows that's what she's doing now. If she keeps it up, she might be one of the only ones. Anyway, let's hear. I saw this.
To discriminate. You know, the left does this thing where they take words and they
yes,
just make
okay,
them
yes,
sound.
this is different. I was like super confused for a minute. Where's my volume? I can never see my volume with. Oh, it's over here. I'm stupid. We can put this back up probably.
Yes, I
That's okay. That's
do discriminate. You know, the left does this thing where they take words and they just make them sound bad or they make them sound good. They're very good at linguistics.
We are very good at linguistics. That is incredibly true.
Right? So a bad thing that they make sound good is like abortion.
You're Asian heathen. How are you doing?
Parenthood. You go, oh, that's lovely. No, but actually they're killing a bunch of infants in the womb. So that's actually not a good thing.
What was that?
And then abortion, they call it planned. The bad thing that they make sound good is like abortion. They call it Planned Parenthood. You go, oh, that's lovely.
She does know that there's like academic words for this, right? See, this is also the problem when you have like people who have no grounding in education spreading rhetoric. You know, I don't have much, admittedly, that's also me. I'm kind of a dumb fuck. But nonetheless, Candace Owens is just complaining, is really just complaining that she never got the updated textbook and now doesn't understand what things are. I'm sorry, Candace. I don't know what to tell you. Read your fucking textbook and get caught up on your vocab. Jesus Christ, do your homework.
No, but actually they're killing a bunch of infants in the womb. So that's actually not a good thing. And then they always have these terms. You go, what do they mean? Cisgender, heteronormative, which...
What? Jesus Christ. Dude, like, fuck's sake. These terms are academic terms. These are like, I'm sorry you didn't go to gender studies. I'm sorry. I know you think because you didn't study it in college or you didn't learn about it before that you're insecure about that information, because that's a lot of what this is. A lot of when people get really defensive about not knowing terms like cisgender or trans or any of that stuff. You know, I'm sure you've had family members who get really defensive about, like, you know, when you say someone is trans or when you correct them for maybe, you know, maybe a friend of yours is non-binary and one of your family members consistently keeps saying like she or like, you know, she or her or whatever it is, and you correct them. What's their initial response? They get really defensive and they start doing like the you know, well that doesn't make sense. That's well, I don't know anything about that. It's insecurity. That's what these people are operating off of. She's fucking insecure because she doesn't have the education. And when other people come to her and say, "Hey, you're a little bit behind the times here with what's going on. Let me update you." What does she do? She lashes out. Or at the very least, she's paid to lash out. Let's remember, Candace Owens probably doesn't have opinions. But either way, all of this is born from insecurity. It's born from smallness of mind. It's born from small people. These people who just want to always feel like they're right. And sometimes you're just not. And just get over yourself. It's fine. You fucked up someone's pronouns, apologize, and be a bit better. But instead, they double down, they triple down, because the alternative would be admitting that they were wrong or they were misinformed. And nobody ever likes feeling like they're misinformed.
Which basically means that you're not problematic enough, and they kind of try to smear you or libel you on the basis that there's nothing wrong with you enough. And so there's just you're too perfect, you're too normal.
That's
so
my
I'm going to call
bad.
you cisgender or whatever. And I've started thinking about this weekend in terms of the word discrimination.
What's it like, guy? It's just an academic term for straight. That's all it is, Candace. You just use a different word for the exact same definition. It's meaningless.
It's become a dirty word. You're not allowed to discriminate. Oh my God, that's discrimination. You shouldn't do that. You should not discriminate. And actually, quite frankly, I think we need to discriminate. I discriminate all the time, every single day.
Yep.
And this morning, I just jotted down a few examples of when I discriminate.
Yep, she discriminates when she chooses the standard butcher's knife over a serrated blade to cut meat. She discriminated when she picked up a few M&Ms and chose the orange one over the brown one, because of course she did. Like, this isn't discrimination, you dumb fuck. That's not what we're talking about. Like, fuck's sake, read a fucking dictionary, learn what context is.
And I'm going to share them with you so that you can feel comfortable sharing your list with your friends. Ready? I discriminate when I hire. I think that's probably illegal, but who doesn't discriminate when they hire? That wouldn't even make sense, especially if I'm hiring for
Definitely
childcare.
is.
A woman walks through my door and she makes me uncomfortable for any reason at all. It could be any reason. I'm not going to hire her. Why would I allow this person who makes me uncomfortable watch my children?
Well, it kind of depends. If they just make you uncomfortable, that's one thing. But by all means, when you go to hire that person, why don't you record the conversation and you can tell them that you didn't hire them because they're gay. Go ahead, do that. Go ahead. If you are that bold about it, go ahead and do it. It's fine. You can, it's fine. I promise, Candace, you won't get in trouble. I promise.
Well, we should discriminate. Of course I'm going to discriminate. If she looks like a freak, she can't watch my child. It's that simple.
You know, it's funny. I wouldn't hire Candace because I think she looks like a freak. What is this outfit? Like, the fuck? Like it's a pretty low bar. It's a rather low bar, quite frankly, to pull. So let's just, in the last two segments, let's like get this really, really clear. All right. Candace Owens and right-wing pundits have been not just attacking the LGBT community through, pretty obvious hate speech and through, acts of violence. You can see some of the shootings that have happened lately. They've also, a key part of this campaign for them is also about muddying the waters on language and about not even redefining words, but more accurately, a desire to undermine terminology that we use to mark a negative action or negative rhetoric. It's why, it's why she tries so hard to make discrimination into anything. Because if anything's discrimination, then nothing's discrimination. And then you can discriminate as much as you want. Leveling the playing field will always, to them, eventually gets them to the point where they get to just, nothing's discrimination. When I don't hire black people because they're black, then, I can get away with it because it's all discrimination. None of it matters. I'm not hiring somebody for the shirt that they decided to wear when they came in. Maybe they came in with a stained food shirt, like a shirt with stains on it. Maybe they came in with they didn't really iron their shirt. It wasn't tucked in. They didn't look professional. They want these things that are based on people's choices. You show up for an interview looking ratty as shit and you don't get that job. That's just kind of the way it is. Sorry. You should probably have taken that a little bit more seriously. But she wants that to be as equal as a decision to not hire somebody because they just so happen to be black. They just so happen to be gay or whatever it is. That's how she wants this whole hiring process to go, which again is just asking for a society based on bigotry. It's not good. It's rather bad, quite frankly. And also just kind of fascist, should we say? Because, the right wing's been getting pretty fashy lately. I don't think I really need to substantiate that too much. But either way, you're Asian heathens. What are your thoughts on gentrification? When you say you're Latino, why aren't you speaking Latin? I know a Latino record label that won't hire black artists. When you say you're Latino, why aren't you speaking Latin? Latino is not Latin. Latino usually, from a ethnicity standpoint, relates to people in Latin and South America, which is where genetically I'm from. Latino record that won't hire black artists, and that would be bad. That would be bad. That's not a good thing. Okay, so ethnically Eurasian. Am I now? What makes you say that? I'm kind of curious. Why am I ethnically Eurasian? I would if you know my genetic history, I would love to sit down and talk to you. I would love some answers. Okay. Ooh, I hope this is a long response. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna move on for now. So, we're gonna take a break from the right wing for the rest of the show because I want to take a look at a segment that the Young Turks produced. I believe it was yesterday on yesterday's show. 1 second. Much better. So Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, the two main hosts of the Young Turks yesterday, did a segment on a LA council persons. Your answers came from Eurasia 40,000 years ago from the Bering Strait. Okay. Sure. I'm not. Okay. Okay. Totally. Anyway, so they did a segment. It was about like a council member assaulting somebody or getting into a little bit of a brawl. And what I'm noticing a lot in left discourse specifically is kind of a bristling at the Young Turks' recent crime rhetoric and crime coverage. I know Cenk came out really hard against the Democratic nominee for LA County mayor, I guess, or maybe it was city mayor. I'm not 100% sure if it was county or city. I guess it would be city or LA city mayor. Yeah, I guess it would be Los Angeles city mayor. Either way, because of their criticism of kind of the state of crime in the area. They're based in LA, so that would obviously kind of be something that they deal with a lot. Either way, what's what I'm looking for? The left seems to be a bit uncomfortable with kind of some of their takes, and I kind of want to take a look at it. I did, the show was on the background at the time, so I did technically see this, but I really wasn't paying 100% attention to it. So I kind of want to take a look, and I want to see what the big hullabaloo is. So let's take a look. I kind of want to see what their takes are on this. Let's just get into this.
You're watching Los Angeles City Council member Kevin De Leon getting violently confronted by an activist named Jason Reedy during the Lincoln Park tree lighting celebration. De Leon claims that Reedy kept shoving him with his pelvis before he headbutted him. Let's watch the rest. Now, Reedy, the activist you see in Kevin De Leon's face, is an activist and organizer with a group in Los Angeles known as the People's City Council. The Los Angeles Police Department is now investigating the matter. Both parties have filed police reports, and both parties, of course, claim that the other party was the aggressor here.
Makes sense.
But my view of this video and what transpired is pretty clear. Before I give you my thoughts and some more background into this story, I want to go to you, Cenk, and get some of your thoughts on what we see in that video.
Yeah.
So we're from the left wing, and so we should be predisposed to agreeing with Reedy in this case. And Kevin DeLeon is someone we ran a campaign against when Allison Hartson ran against him for Senate in California. So no love lost there.
Okay, makes sense, makes sense.
I have eyes, though. You guys have eyes, you can see the video, right?
I'm assuming this is the guy who's wearing a Santa Claus hat, not dissimilar to mine. So I'm gonna make the assumption this is the dude.
So when the activist is up in his grill with a lot of people around him and they're still in public, I might not like that tactic, but I think it's kosher. Okay, I think it's fine.
Okay.
When the activist pushes past an entry point there where they're trying to get him out of public, it's obvious, and he shouldn't. That was a red line he shouldn't have crossed. Okay, all right, maybe we can recover from that red line. When he gets up within...
Okay, so I want to say that I don't... So this is a case where I think security for that representative should be stepping in, and I'd have no problem with them stepping in. But also, if you're a public representative, as long as you are out in the public, meaning the minute you step out of your house, I don't think you really have a right to privacy the same way that regular citizens do. Unfortunately, you are a public servant. You are also, again, a representative. So you're held to a different standard, in my opinion, as to your kind of personal bubble goes. I do not want a environment where activists are only allowed to protest, even if it is in people, kind of in people's grills, protest only until certain points, or only until politicians or elected officials feel that they don't want to hear that anymore, because that's what you're going to end up getting. If we had kind of a hey, when I go into this hallway, you can't keep accosting me, then they would just spend all their time constantly backing into those hallways, going into these spaces where they claim are not qualified to be protested in or around. So that's, security should be doing their job in separating them. I think that activist and protester has a right to push the envelope as far as they can until, the representative enters a car or some other, if they enter their own property, it's a different conversation. But as long as you're out in the public and you're in a public space, no.
An inch of his face, we cannot recover from that. The activist is clearly wrong. Okay, we'll talk about...
Disagree. I disagree. I get it. Because it's, the thought process is, hey, you're going to end up increasing the chances of not just harm, but you're going to you're going to raise the temperature in the room. You're going to raise tensions. That's okay. I am okay with that. As long as there is no physical contact, I got no problem with that. You're an elected representative. You are a representative of the people. Therefore, you are inclined to hear and deal with their frustration. I'm okay with that. You can't assault somebody. You can't put your hands on anybody. But you can absolutely get in somebody's grill. I got no problem with that. Man to man, you do that. You do that. Don't get me wrong. You do that. You fuck around. You might find out. I'm fine with that too. But I think protesters and activists do have a right to push the envelope, because that's the only way that they gain enough attention. It's the only way.
All the feelings that are hurt about that. And then you see on the video, you can call it a headbutt. You could say lightly touch his head to DeLeon's head, but there is no question that Reedy initiated the contact. Again, if you think there's a question, you can watch the video. You can come to your own conclusion. A lot of people watch that same video. It's a Rorschach test, and they come to completely different conclusions, right? What I saw was Reedy clearly touched DeLeon first, okay? And then when that happens, at least with the head, right? And when that happens, DeLeon then wrestles him back. Not guilty, Okay, we'll give you the rest now.
Yes. Okay. So I actually want to repeat what I said in the lead to the story. So DeLeon is accusing Reedy of first thrusting his pelvis at DeLeon, which you can't see in the video really because of the fact that there's a bunch of people swarming DeLeon. You can't see their bodies. But you can see a few things. So I want to go to two screenshots, beginning with this one. This screenshot shows DeLeon. This is after he had tried to get away, right?
Okay, so you can kind of see the distance. Dude's got his hands up. He's obviously doing like the, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. I'm like 3 inches from you, but I'm not touching you. Perfectly in play. Perfectly in play. Like yellow flag, maybe, but like so far.
Went through a doorway and Reedy followed him. DeLeon, you can see clearly he's got his hands up. He's trying to get away from the situation. He's not trying to escalate it further.
Oh, he's not trying to give him a double
let's
high
go to the
five?
next
Damn.
one. This next video, I think, shows the clearest evidence we can see of,
So yes, they do
Reedy
make contact.
touching DeLeon's head, because DeLeon, of course, accuses him of headbutting him. And I took the moment in the video and slowed it down just to kind of see it in slow motion. You guys can judge for yourselves. Let's take a quick look at that. Let's keep our mics up,
I would love to see this.
So you can see, yeah, I mean.
No, it's Reedy. There's no question it's Reedy.
Yeah. And so after that, DeLeon did what I think.
Bring it back, 1 second.
Listen, once next video, I think, shows.
I want to see this.
The clearest evidence we can see of, Reedy touching DeLeon's head, because DeLeon, of course, accuses him of headbutting him. And I took the moment in the
so this is what I'm kind of concerned about, and this is kind of where I'm going to push back a good little bit, is that while I don't disagree, and I couldn't possibly disagree that they absolutely eventually made contact with each other. What I'm curious about is if you've ever been in a crowd and you've ever been close to somebody while in a crowd, you know that you end up shifting a couple inches as people's weight ends up shifting around. This is a very small room with a lot of people in it, meaning as this guy with the flannel here moves around, might try to put an arm between them, do whatever. There's, like we already saw earlier in the video, there was a lot of people behind them. So you've got a lot of weight moving around in the room, and you're going to end up, I think this was pretty much inevitable, that dude got really close up into his grill, and eventually, because of everybody moving around the room, if someone even lightly bumps into either of them, they're gonna make contact. Now, that it happens, it absolutely happens. And do I think DeLeon was defending himself, or at least he perceived to be defending himself? Probably. Most likely. From his perspective, most likely I forget his name already. Reedy, I think it was. He most likely saw it as him getting in his grill, pushing towards him, which also would be a factor if you're in a small contained room with a lot of people moving in one direction, meaning you're going to end up bumping into people a little bit. We've all been in high school. We've all been in crowded high school hallways. You end up bumping into people, and then even people you're next to, you end up like kind of shifting just a little bit too. We understand how this works, and it seems like that's what happened. And then it ended up getting into, DeLeon ends up grabbing him by the collar or whatever. So let's keep watching. But that's looking at that's kind of that's the vibes I'm really getting from this
video, and slowed it down just to kind of see it in slow motion. You guys can judge for yourselves. Let's take a quick look at that. Let's keep our mics up though.
So as you can kind of see, DeLeon is moving forward. Homeboy here, I think it's Reedy, I could be wrong. It's like Reedy or Creedy or some shit. Homeboy here is trying to keep pace with him while staying enough ahead that he doesn't make contact with him.
So you can see,
and notice as they're shifting, they're doing this as the room is kind of shifting.
Yeah, I mean.
No, it's Reedy. There's no question it's Reedy.
Yeah. And so after that.
Honest to God. And you can say this is carrying water for, homeboy left-wing person. That's fine. There's going to be a little bit of bias on my part in terms of how I read this. But as far as I can tell, what I'm seeing is mostly a crowded room, two people getting really up into two people that are very close together, one purposefully, the other the victim of that to a degree, or at least the receiving party in that in kind of that exchange. And as they're trying to move through the room, they end up eventually, like I did with my mic, come into contact. While one is moving forward, the other is moving backwards a little bit. There's always that, like, which way are you going? And boom, they made contact. Now, is that the activist's fault? I think yes. The result of him choosing to get in the councilperson's grill was like, they made that decision, they got the consequences, which was eventually they were going to make contact with them. But again, I don't necessarily think that a citizen does not have a right to no, let me think of the word. To be very close when they make their critiques. Because you have somebody like, I remember we saw Kirsten Sinema run into like the bathroom or whatever. And then an activist followed her into the bathroom. It's a public space. And Kirsten Sinema was trying to paint that interaction as like harassment, as over the top, as whatever nonsense she was trying to paint it as. And the reason why that was bullshit was because at no point, she had entered into an extra space and probably got closer than Kirsten Sinema would have liked. But I don't think that, I think citizens at the end of the day, there is a certain amount of leniency I'm willing to give people when they're arguing with representatives. I do, security should have been there, and I got no problem with security separating them. If an activist goes like, "Hey, you're not allowed to separate me," no, they are. You are being overly hostile. But I don't think that crossed the line. Getting close to somebody and getting into their personal space, while I don't recommend it, and I really don't think it's like the best way to go about this, I also do think that like we need to draw these lines really, really specifically, because again, you're running up against a infringement on people's right to protest, and you don't want an incident like this. And this is where the activist is stupid, because he's going to end up making it harder for activists to protest this guy. Dumb move. Like, this was bad optically and bad strategically, regardless.
DeLeon did what I think, listen, once someone puts their hands on you or touches you, makes physical contact in an aggressive way, I believe you have the right to defend yourself. And the guy was...
Also, no, this wasn't in an aggressive way. I'm sorry. This is where I'm going to disagree. There's a reason why you do this. Like homeboy does this. He's never intending to hit him. He's only intending to keep his hands up so that police, security, or any other law enforcement officials don't, at the very least, he has enough plausible deniability for having a weapon or anything like that. Doing this is a sign of nonviolence, while your rhetoric might be aggressive. I think that's a big difference. I do think there is a material difference to if he was in his grill with his arms down to if he was in his grill with his arms up. Those are different. You do not approach somebody with the intent to assault them while doing this. While doing the like, hey, look, I'm not going to hit you. I'm just going to yell a lot of shit at you. You're my representative. That's how this is going to go. There's a big difference between that and running up to somebody, arms down. At any point you could swing, and nobody knows what you have in your hands, especially if you're in a crowd. The aggressive part of this is probably where I disagree the most on here, because I don't think this was aggressive. This was actually, no, that's a lie. I'll say it's aggressive. I don't think it was violent. It was non-violent and aggressive. Those two things can happen.
Believe that. That's just a fact.
It's a fact. No, absolutely. And so, listen, if you've been following local politics in Los Angeles, then you're privy to some of the tactics that this activist group has been using. It's been getting increasingly violent. It is not effective. I think it's super counterproductive to anything the left actually wants to.
I don't remember them really expanding on the violence they're talking about. Again, that was nonviolent. That was just rather aggressive. Again, dude, like, you could not have an expectation that guy was going to hit the representative there. You just can't. There's no way you could not convince me that somebody who approaches somebody like this to yell at them wants to hit them. Because what are they going to do? Do this? Like, no. They do this because they're like, this is a sign of nonviolence. I'm going to yell at you.
Accomplish here. And I want to give you a few more details based on witness testimony, people who were there, what they experienced. And keep in mind, this was a tree lighting ceremony with hundreds of children. Hundreds of children were there. They were terrified about what was transpiring.
No. Don't start the civility stuff. Don't start the civility stuff. Kids can watch protests. It's fine.
And before you give all the facts,
I don't like that. I don't like the kids.
I'm going to explain what the standard should be for aggressive left-wing activists who want to do the right thing.
I do know Cenk is very aggressive, and I do appreciate that about him.
How the right way to approach this is. So we'll do that at the end of all the facts.
Okay.
So according to the Los Angeles Times, which in my opinion never loses an opportunity to provide cover for the activists, that's what I've noticed in their reporting. In this case, luckily, they spoke to some of the witnesses, including Alan Ochoa, a DJ at the event, said he was DJing when a group of about 5 people walked in and started shouting, "You're a racist," at De Leon. Ochoa said De Leon got off of the stage and tried to walk away, but the group started getting into his face. Soon after, he said, children started to cry and run. He also told the Los Angeles Times, quote, "If you're going to be proving your point, do it outside. Don't go in there and mess up a whole community event. As it is, we live in a low-income community, and these guys are coming here who don't even live there, messing it up for our community." Now, the allegation regarding racism has to do with the tapes that were leaked. The Los Angeles City Council members who were having a private conversation, that conversation was being secretly recorded and it was leaked. That conversation was disgusting and racist, mostly because of what former LA City Council President Nuri Martinez was saying. She eventually resigned and stepped down, as she should have. And there has been this effort to try to get Kevin De Leon to step down. He's refusing to do it. Now, my view on his part.
Let's see, resist. Give me the shortest video.
From DC to here at home, we talk about our ongoing turmoil in the LA City Council. One council member resigned yesterday. 2 others are so far resisting widespread calls to do the same.
Council itself cannot force them out, so what can it do? Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live in downtown with the very latest. Carlos?
Well, for now, tomorrow's LA City Council meeting is canceled. Acting President Mitch O'Farrell says they simply cannot go on the way it is right now. But he says he did not get the impression that those 2 council members are ready to resign today. Acting City Council President Mitch O'Farrell says he is frustrated and surprised that Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon have
I want to hear the audio.
Not yet resigned.
The only sense I have is what they're going through personally. Probably weighing their long history in politics and public service and
fucking deal with it.
Reconciling this transgression with that. That's just all I can imagine that they're going through. But one thing is clear.
No, just give me the audio, guys. I just want to hear the audio. Intends to keep his seat. Da-da-da-da-da. Sure.
Have those statues and
it's like an accessory when we do the MLK parade. Wait, LA City Council Principal resigns after leaked audio. Details or racist remarks. Nuri Martinez, it's like an accessory when we do the MLK parade, just like when we used to have those statues and the plantations, didn't they? In the front,
Wait, and then when Nuri brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag,
it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float, and then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not even, they're not doing. The kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Always
a lot to unpack in there, and believe it or not, it got even worse. Melodian Martinez called the child a Spanish term meaning animal, but she also mocked Oaxacans and implied that LA County's progressive district attorney, George Gasson, shouldn't be supported, saying, quote, F that guy, he's with the blacks.
Oof, Jesus. Okay, so if that's all they really got on DeLeon, I can kind of see the argument. I'm not really super sure we'll get to that. Maybe, yeah. Oh yeah, we'll probably have the time. Oh, don't worry, that was a little preview there. So yeah, the racist remarks, not great. A bit sussy to say the least.
Participation in that conversation is a little different from what the activists are saying, okay? So here is the moment in question, the moment that has led the activist to call for Kevin DeLeon to step down.
Anna,
they're talking about former city council member
Mike
Bonin, who had adopted a son who happens to be black, and
man, I should have known Anna was just going to show the context.
Nuri Martinez made an allegation that Mike Bonin treats his son as an accessory, and Kevin DeLeon contributed to that part of the discussion. Here it is.
He goes, what is with Bonin? And I said, Bonin thinks he's black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black. I told her the same thing. He goes, why are they so close? No idea.
And he's from Massachusetts. This kid, the one here, that's kid. Yeah.
Lo trae así during Black History Month, lo lleva al council y lo pone acá en el, remember? It's an accessory. When we do the MLK parade.
Just like when
they used to have those statues in the plantations.
And then when Nuri brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag,
very cringe.
Like on the side.
Very cringe.
So that was really, I've listened to the whole tape. That was the most questionable thing that Kevin DeLeon said, which was after Nuri Martinez said that Bonin treats his son as an accessory, Kevin DeLeon brought up designer bags as accessories, right? And it was more a criticism toward Mike Bonin as opposed to a racist message about the 2-year-old son. Now, Nuri Martinez said horrendous, hideous things.
Yeah, I think, homegirl's way in the yeet zone than a homeboy.
The other thing I want to bring up is, it is fascinating to see how the activists pick and choose who they're going to target and attack. Now, Kevin DeLeon was elected into the city council. During these city council meetings where people get to engage in public comment, Latinos living in his district have gone up and said, we don't want him to resign, right? So his term is up in 2024. So essentially bullying him or intimidating him to resign hasn't worked, and they're getting increasingly aggressive with their tactics. Now, during those tapes, something that got no attention, that did not sit well with me, was when Nuri Martinez was talking about the MLK parade and how she was on a float with other, local politicians, including, at the time, Karen Bass, who was a member of Congress. Karen Bass was there. And she said she engaged in a conversation with Karen Bass about Mike Bonin's son, who was 2 years old at the time. No one cared about this. No one questioned Karen Bass and her engagement in this conversation. But here's the part that I'm talking about.
It's me and Karen Bass on the floor trying to check this little kid. Me, Karen Bass, y la esposa de Marquise, Carrie. And we're all looking at each other because we're the 3 women on the floor. Like, this kid's gonna tip us over. Because he's literally hanging on the rail like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner.
Always gotta love that, like, what's the word? Immigrant family, like, what's the word? Prevalence towards corporal punishment. Always gotta love that. It's always cringe. I feel like I'm really happy that the whole like you need to whoop your kid's ass thing is starting to become a lot less of a in vogue talking point for people, because it's never amounted to much and it's never gotten us anywhere as like a society. It doesn't have good outcomes in terms of like child care or child rearing, I should say, child development. So like I always hate when I hear people talk about the whole like, oh, you need to whoop his ass. Like, no, that's not how you that's not how you address those issues. It's never been shown to be positive.
I would like a statement from Karen Bass about her involvement in that conversation about beating up a 2-year-old black boy. Just curious about that, because now she's mayor. I don't want to bring it up prior to the election because, of course, I'd get all sorts of allegations about how I'm trying.
That's a little bad faith. I feel like that's a bit bad faith, since it really shouldn't be all that controversial or shocking that you would kind of say that from a joking standpoint. Like, I didn't get the sense that they were like intending to beat up a black kid. Like that's a bit bad faith in my opinion.
Trying to prevent Karen Bass from getting elected and how I'm trying to put my thumb on the scale. But the fact of the matter is, if you compare her involvement in that conversation about the MLK parade to what Kevin De Leon said, really? Like, why are we choosing to go after Kevin De Leon so aggressively compared to what Karen Bass engaged in?
So we covered the story.
Oh, Anna, to be fair, there isn't audio of what Karen Bass said. This is very LA politics centric, but like, I don't know what Karen Bass said. I can only speculate. These activists can only speculate. But like, you know, Nora Martinez is gone. Like, homegirl had to resign. There was like no getting away from that. But homegirl got yeeted the fuck out of here. Karen Bass, like, Lord knows, like, we don't know what was said. Homeboy, I think, not like a great comment, but like, you know, I don't think as sussy as I don't know if his speech really warranted the response necessarily, but let's just.
Well, you can see it for yourself. It's online, and I thought what Nori Martinez said at times crossed over into racism.
Of course, yeah.
But at the same time, here in that portion of the conversation, she's talking about how her and Karen Bass, who's black, agreed that
they need to check the boy.
That they would take the boy around the corner and check him, etc.
Yeah,
because his white dad was not doing it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now,
so yeah, that's a dynamic in black and brown houses, because the perception, at the very least, you know, this is kind of a cultural thing that I think has stuck around. You know, you hear it all the time where like white parents don't really beat their kids, they just take their cell phones or something away, and you know, white kids, you know, end up running their parents' household, which is a thing that can happen. It's a thing I've personally seen. I've seen white kids bully around their parents before. It's really weird, but it is a thing that happens. But there is this really problematic, I think, reverence toward corporal punishment in minority communities. I do think that there is a level of leniency toward this sort of stuff for whatever reason in minority communities. I would assume it comes from honestly, like, you know, when your parents have a more adjacent relationship or a closer relationship with recent immigrants, you kind of see some of this because, you know, not everywhere in the world is corporal punishment discouraged. That, you know, this is a very American context that corporal punishment is bad. There are, you know, it's not unique necessarily, but there are other parts of the world that just corporal punishment is not nearly as frowned upon, I suppose. So there is that context, and like, we've all heard it. We've all been around like black moms who always say like, you need to whoop your kid's ass. We've all been around Spanish moms that say the same exact stuff. It is problematic. It is not good. So yeah, I mean, it's but I don't really think it's I feel like they're coming at it from a more detached perspective, from a more American context in terms of the relationship to corporal punishment that we have, which I don't necessarily think is fair, even though I do think it is a valid critique. I don't know if it's like the best critique. You know what I mean?
Karen Bass actually said that? We don't know, right? Because it's relayed to you through Nuri Martinez, and so I wouldn't say Karen Bass is definitely guilty, but I'd ask her a question about it. And in these activists that are up in everybody's faces, I never see them up in Karen Bass's face. I'm not, and by the way, don't, okay? There's the right way to do it and wrong way to do it. But Anna's right, for some reason, Karen Bass, who could have been a central figure in this, is not at all discussed. But DeLeon, who was in the room and made a comment about Gucci or something.
Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. When
Louis Vuitton, thank you very much.
He was talking about Mike Bonin and not the kid, is somehow like the worst of the worst. That doesn't make any sense at all. Now, if you say, hey, I don't like that DeLeon was in the room and he didn't speak up, that makes sense, okay? And that's a perfectly valid opinion. If you think DeLeon should resign, perfectly valid opinion, okay? And we can agree or disagree about that. But by the way, for a lot of these activists, it has nothing to do with that event. They were doing this stuff well before. It's because they disagree with them on policy, on homelessness and crime, etc. So they're using this as an excuse to just go further. And
Reedy has had, confrontations with DeLeon in the past. In March, he was verbally challenging DeLeon during an outdoor event when the councilman reached to cover Reedy's cell phone camera with his hand, just covering the cell phone, so he wasn't filming it anymore. At a downtown event months later, Reedy was taping him again. It's just constant confrontations with DeLeon, right? That has continued to escalate, and it escalated to the point where we showed you with this.
I don't really think any of that broke the law or was too far. All that's kind of within fair game, as far as I'm concerned. So, okay.
Interaction at the tree lighting event. Now, going back to what happened, what transpired just a few days ago, a social worker who was present at the event and identified himself only as Giovanni for fear of retaliation told the Times that he saw Reedy unsuccessfully try to headbutt DeLeon. Jennifer Barraza, DeLeon's chief of staff, said that amid the melee, Reedy clipped her in the chin with his elbow. Reedy's attorney has denied that this has happened, right? And I don't think she's saying that he did it purposely. It's just they're in an altercation, and because of that altercation and because of her close proximity to it, he elbowed her chin. Now, at one point, actually, let me open it up to you because there's other contextual information that I want to provide the audience so they kind of understand what's going on here. Because I think the way it's being presented right now is, here you have a run-of-the-mill Democrat. We've been critical of him for various reasons, right? And look at these innocent, wonderful activists who are doing nothing wrong, and then they get beaten up by Kevin DeLeon. But no, that is not what's happening. I think the tactics that they've been using and basically escalating over the last several months is incredibly toxic,
That's actually an excellent idea. That would be fun. That would be interesting. We need to do more reality shows that involve shitting on the ultra wealthy in this country. All our reality shows are always just shitting on poor people and people of lower means and kind of lampooning them for not knowing upper class stuff or even upper middle class social norms or whatever. That's what the entire show of the Beverly Hillbillies is. It's just making fun of the joke of it is, look at these poor people being thrust into rich society and look how they don't fit in.
Incredibly dangerous. And even when it comes to a newly elected city council member who they don't like, who just got elected, just got sworn in, they just engage in these intimidation and bullying tactics. I'm sorry, but people's votes matter. Just because you don't like that person who just got elected into the district she got elected in doesn't mean you get to go terrorize her.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, guys, on the tapes, they also brazenly, openly talked about corruption, but no one gives a damn about that.
Of course.
That to me is a massive toxic issue, but the activists don't care about it, even though they're left wing. I don't get it. Certainly the media never cares about it, and the establishment loves it. So that's somehow not.
It's not gonna. It's definitely not gonna. It's definitely not gonna get covered. Like none of that is gonna get talked about.
An issue. Okay, but I don't. We ran a race against De Leon, right? I got no interest in De Leon. I see national headlines now about how De Leon attacked an activist. I watch the video and I go, wait, who attacked who? What are we being serious here? So no, I don't accept this at all. So I want to tell you what I think is the right thing to do.
Okay,
guys.
So let me sum up my general take and my general position on this one. In terms of this specific case, I think that there was not an initiation of violence by either group. There was a presumption of violence by one of the groups. The activist who ended up kind of lightly brawling with Kevin De Leon decided as their right to protest and their right to their right to speak out against a representative of theirs, they decided to get up in the grill of their representative in a closely packed room and ended up making contact with them. Most likely, it looks like unpurposefully. It was an accident. But they put themselves in that position and ended up getting the response that they got. De Leon was trying to move through the room and eventually made enough contact from their point of view from the activists that allowed them to engage in a very, very light amount of violent self-defense. I think if anybody is in the wrong, it leans more towards the activist because they put themselves in that situation to eventually make contact with the representative. I think they do have a right to protest. I think they do have a right to push the boundaries of personal space with representatives. But you run the risk of accidentally going too far. And of course, there are, and the reason why I'm allowing this specifically is if you go and watch the videos, Guy has his hands up the entire time. Meaning if they made contact, there was no reason De Leon thought that it was going to result in a brawl, because at no point did the protester, or the activist, I should say, engaged in body language that was aggressive. So nobody's a winner here. And I am mostly leaning just slightly on the representative side on this one. Whatever his politics are, you're allowed to protest your representatives for whatever goddamn reason. If you want to protest because they wore the wrong fucking shirt one day, go right the fuck ahead. You have that right as a local citizen. I think overall, bad tactics, bad strategy. I'm not really sure if their target is on point. I don't really know I can't say for certain if Kevin De Leon has earned this vitriol, has earned any of this, just because I'm sure there's context I'm missing. But either way, You know, these are the consequences of protesting kind of stupidly and in a way that's ineffective. I'll say that. If nothing else, ineffective, backfires at the end of the day.
We need civil disobedience. That doesn't mean what the mainstream media and establishment Democrats and Republicans want, which is civil obedience. It doesn't mean that. You should not be obedient, okay?
Some of these people are so rich that they can fill out their financial disclosure forms. They accidentally leave off millions of assets they forgot about. If you can't keep track. Dude, Gamer Jam, fucking base takes. Well done. I also like that idea. That'd be a fun idea.
To the powerful. On the other hand, it also does not mean
Who Wants to Be a
uncivil
Millionaire sort of
disobedience.
game show.
Martin Luther King didn't say, get in the grill, man, okay? Martin Luther King said, have the courage to walk where they tell you not to walk sometimes, okay? But by the way, he also clarified that he was always right on federal law. Martin Luther King was, and the civil rights movement was. It was actually the local sheriffs that were breaking the law, okay?
So, Cenk always brings up MLK, and I don't necessarily think he's making a bad point, or that the example is like the comparison is off. But I do think that there is sometimes an over-reliance on the peaceful protests that MLK engaged in. And what you end up missing in that conversation is that MLK was able to create the movement he had, not simply through nonviolent organizing and nonviolent protests, but by also contrasting his movement with a much more militant movement in the Black Panthers. So let's be clear. Martin Luther King strived because he had another group that was contrasting him. That is a big element that doesn't get talked about as much. You know, meanwhile, while Martin Luther King is doing what he's doing in terms of peaceful protests, in terms of the way to kind of approach civil disobedience, you did have Malcolm X, you did have the Black Panthers engaging in much more explicit, much more militant community action and community defense. So let's be clear, Martin Luther King was not in a vacuum.
And so, yes, you can say, hey, we're gonna take over this area. We're gonna tell you ahead of time. We've done civil disobedience. We've done it with Democracy Spring and many other things. And we train people before we go out there to make sure that nothing physical happens and violence doesn't break out. Because if violence does break out, not only are you then on the morally wrong end of it, but you've also done something terribly counterproductive. It doesn't take courage to throw a punch, it takes courage to take a punch. They didn't cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge looking to tackle the sheriffs on the cops. No, they were doing a peaceful march when the cops ran into them and did that cavalry charge on them. Yeah. And they had the courage to withstand that, not.
You know what else? It's like, you know what also gets me about like a lot of these like uber wealthy guys like Musk and shit is he already kind of told everybody that he could end world hunger with the amount of money he had, and like we watched him buy something else. Like the idea that he was allowed to even buy Twitter when openly admitting to everybody that like, you know, he could solve like, you know, world hunger, or even that he could impact greatly the food insecurity in the US, just as one example. Nuts, absolutely nuts. Like you're just gonna say that out loud and then like not like you're nuts. You're out here. You're out of here.
To go provoke it, okay?
Well, it's interesting that you bring up that point because fairly recently there was an incident involving recruits for, I believe, the LAPD, if I'm not mistaken, possibly the Sheriff's Department. But nonetheless, they were new recruits who were, training to become law enforcement in Los Angeles. And during a morning training exercise, as a big group of them were jogging, a man ran them over. That's being investigated. We don't know if he fell asleep behind the wheel. We don't know if it's intentional. Again, it's being investigated. But when the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department had tweeted about it, and bunch of recruits, like young men, got run over by this guy. Some of them are still in the hospital. The People's City Council responded to the Sheriff's Department tweet about it, saying, "Please let us know how we can bail out this hero."
That's cringy. That's cringy. Maybe we need to look into this group. Maybe
that's who they are.
Maybe, okay.
So when you mention the non-violence component of it, no, they like the violence. They encourage them. Tweet about it, saying, "Please."
Okay, 1 second. People's City Council. Okay, cool. I'm kind of curious.
Let us know how we can bail out this hero.
That's sussy.
That's who they are. So when you mention the non-violence component of it, no, they like the violence, they encourage the violence, and they see the recruits getting run over as a good thing. The person doing it is a hero in their minds. And these are innocent people. They're recruits. They're not even cops yet. It's like they.
So guys, when we cover the right wing and you show violence,
Absolutely.
like even as a giant attack.
I always find that like people who are like big Bible thumpers, like I went to Catholic school growing up for I think only maybe like a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years, like the very like I think like pre-K or something through 2nd grade, I want to say. And it's really like, oh, what? Do I need to, what the fuck? Do I need to follow people? Okay. Anyway, I find it really interesting that whenever you hear a lot of these Christian, quite frankly, they're zealots, but these theocrats, like they talk about Jesus and they talk about the teachings and they talk about all this stuff about the values that like of Christianity and all the rest of the stuff. And I'm not going to be honest, I don't recognize any of it. I went to school for 3 years. It's probably the basis of the beginning years of my education. I don't remember any of this. If you want to talk about the teachings of Jesus, you're talking about like loving your neighbor, treating others the way that you would like to be treated, doing unto others. You're talking like helping the poor, healing the sick, all the rest of the stuff. But somehow these guys have perverted like this religion into being about like ownership and like all this weird shit. It's so fucking sketchy. Only approved classes, plus access, click follow. What the fuck? Really? Okay, so 1 second. I want to point this out. That was their tweet, which, is fine. They're allowed to tweet whatever they want. But I do find it to be incredibly sussy that they have their fucking Twitter account locked. That's really sussy in my opinion. If that tweet that they showed earlier was any indication of the kind of rhetoric that they're putting out there, irresponsible and unhelpful. So, and the fact that I can't learn more, if you're a, abolitionist, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist collective amplifying the voice of the people through direct action, public education, and community space. Yeah, your tweets are locked, pal. What is this? You should have this open to the public. If you want to be the people's anything, you should be readily available to the people. That's rather sussy in my opinion.
Like January 6th, we clarify, yes, but does that mean all Republicans, some Republicans? And then we show you polling. And unfortunately, a huge percentage of Republicans did approve of what happened on January 6th, and they do approve of violence. Now, when we show you polling from the left wing, almost no one approves of violence, except this very tiny sliver of so-called left-wing activists, right? And so,
I mean, I do think they're probably left-wing, but I also think that they're like, it's one of those cases where like there is no such thing as like left-wing non-militants. Like, I feel like sometimes we get into this whole thing where like if you're left-wing, you can't, being left-wing inherently means that you're non-militant, which isn't the case. It's just not the case. Like there is a space for that, but it is very different. And not only that, but it's different and also not a large group and discouraged by most of the rest of more leftist ideology. Obviously, there's we all know the revolution, brother. But, you know, I mean, we kind of all know that a little bit more as memes, and also as the revolution would not be from some small group of like revolutionary leftists on Twitter. It's going to be from the working class. Like, that's the revolution that like Marx speaks of specifically. So it's militance is not the same on the left as it is on the right.
But what the press then sees is, oh, the left wing likes violence too. No one voted on it. No one agreed to it. You don't represent the whole left wing. You're lucky to represent your tiny little sliver of the left wing. And so you can come at me, bro, with your ideas about how, no, I am the true leftist. True leftists believe in getting within 1 inch of a guy's face in a place I'm not supposed to be. And then touching.
It is a public space. I'm gonna keep pushing on this because I don't like the idea of quartering off public spaces for public officials so that they can hide from their constituents. I don't like that. I do think that ends up you end up creating spaces for representatives to run from, and then you end up with an inability to protest people. It's like I know Cenk is really against people showing up at representatives' houses, which I don't like it, but as long as you're in public space, I'm kind of just like, it's fine. You're in a public space. I can't stop you on that one. You know, if representatives want to hire some security to make sure that they're safe, no problem with that either. Totally understand. There are psychopaths, but you know, sometimes I don't know. It's walking the fine line of like, how much protest do you allow people? How much protest do they have a right to?
Head and then getting, oh, I'm so golly gee, I don't know why he put his hands on me. Please, come on. Nobody believes that.
Yeah.
And God bless you if you do, but I saw the tape. Everybody's seen the tape. And so, I don't agree.
Even before
the classic fuck around and find out,
racist,
which that activist did fuck around and find out. That is true. That activist did fuck around and find out.
tape was leaked of the city council members engaging in that conversation. The intimidation tactics, the threats of violence were already being implemented. So I'll give you another example. So back in August of this year, the city council was considering banning homeless encampments near schools, and the activists were not in favor of that. And so one of the activists, again, this is August, the tapes came out in October. One of the activists, who's been identified as Miss Italy, decided to charge members of the city council. Here's the video.
How dare you say that the people that are here are not unhoused? How dare you? I live in District 14. You don't
19, 26, and 40. No, sergeants.
Okay, so you are in a public forum. I don't think that was appropriate. Also, that person got immediately clapped up by the police. Yeah, I don't. So a lot of these like public city council meeting things, sometimes, I mean, more lately, I think more than before. I never used to hear about them, but now they end up kind of making the news a little bit more often than not. Some of these end up getting really heated and end up getting, I think, like a little uncharacteristically aggressive. People get at them, which is not good. I don't think that this person needed to, hop the pew or whatever the fuck that is to aggressively like yell at that woman. But I will also say, I don't think it's fair to characterize that as, charging at the council or anything. I think that's a little bit dishonest framing. It's painting that person, I think, a little bit more aggressively than is warranted. but I don't think outright 100%, you know, it's a game of shades. It's a game of shades. I don't know if like characterizing that as a protester charging at them, right? Like I don't know if that's how I would characterize that. But I would say that they got out of fucking line. I would say that they got out of line and they ended up you know, getting out of line is about the most I'd honestly characterize that as. But I think charging at somebody, I think, puts a picture in someone's mind. Like, she said they were charged at. I thought Homegirl was just gonna drop all her shit and just fucking bum rush that council. But that's not what was happening. Homegirl was like walking up and walking rather slow. I don't think that there was going to be violence at the end of that interaction if the police weren't there. I don't think there was going to end up being violence there.
And I want to also draw attention to the swearing-in ceremony for Tracy Park, a newly elected city council member who was elected on the west side of Los Angeles. Newly elected, just got sworn in. And the swearing-in ceremony was interrupted incessantly by activists who just don't like her. They don't like the way the vote went, just like Donald Trump's supporters on January 6th. And I want to give you just one example of what the swearing-in ceremony looked like.
Donald Trump supporters are not upset because they think Donald Trump has better policies. Donald Trump supporters were upset and still are upset because he lost, because their representative is out of power. What they want is power, not a fair election or a fair assessment of the electorate's opinions.
Apparently the votes of the people living in the west side of Los Angeles don't matter because the activists would prefer whoever candidate they were endorsing to fill that seat.
Yeah, look, there's a million things wrong with our elections. Nobody talks about it more than we do. That's a fact. I started a whole organization called Wolfpack to get money out of politics so we can actually fix our elections. But whether we like it or not, Joe Manchin has been elected as a senator of West Virginia, okay? The way that you get him unelected is not by headbutting him, but by organizing effectively to vote him out, okay? So, and whenever you see a situation like this, you have to think, what if the shoe was on the other foot? So imagine a right-wing activist getting in Bernie Sanders' face like that, or AOC's face like that, or Ilhan Omar, or any of them. What would I do? I'll tell you right now what I'd do. Anyway, I don't want to get into it.
Again, that's security's job though, right? Like that's what you hire security for. Like as much as I disagree, there is a certain amount of aggressive protest that you have to be lenient to, lest your representatives end up taking shelter from reasonable protest by framing it as unreasonable protest. It is a fine line. It is a fine line. You know, we've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene bother people on the street. I think I forget the kid's name. He was like a school shooting survivor or whatever, and like Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting into his like personal space and bothering him. And here's the problem with that. He's a private person. The reason why that's not okay, and the opposite would be slightly more okay, is mainly because one is a representative and the other one is a private citizen. That's the real difference here. Again, it's a fine line. It's a very thin line, but you know, let's keep that in mind. The power dynamic is different.
But this is not helpful. You want to be loud?
It's
definitely.
It's not.
You want to show up in public areas? Definitely. Okay. In that situation, there were judgment calls that were made that I don't agree with while they were still in the public area. Once the kids all start crying and you've created an unbelievable mess, you've already lost everyone, right? Now you're doing damage to your cause because the minute everybody sees the video, they think, oh, Who are the monsters here? Oh, the ones making the little kids cry. So thanks a lot for helping our cause, right?
Right.
Okay, but those are judgment calls.
Fair,
but once you
fair,
cross
fair.
the red lines of
Optics.
going into a private area and
L on
making
the optics
physical
game.
contact, no, that is not a judgment call. Then you're saying, I'm not a progressive. I'm just a radical who wants to take physical action here. And you don't represent any of the rest of us, so please don't pretend you do. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so overall, how do we sum this one up? Okay, all right. Let's see if we can summarize. I don't know. Let's see if I can summarize here really quickly. All right, so activist group, pretty sussy. Got to be honest. Optics, not very good. Optically, I don't think they're. I don't think they're swinging with their best on this one. Optically, it seems like the approach that they're taking overall has been leading to more negative associations with left-wing politics. So not good. Okay. Now, individual. Let's talk about the individual case and the individual thing that happened. So, Kevin De Leon, LA council member, representative, whatever, LA council person, is that like an event? This kind of sussy, not great optically. Activist group shows up, they create a stir, perfectly fine. They get very aggressive and invade his personal space to a good degree. So far, I'm mostly fine with it. I'm also fine with the consequences of that. Then, when shifting into a smaller room in a small crowd, the activist eventually makes contact with the councilman. They end up in a small brawl that doesn't look like there was any punches thrown, just a lot of shoving and a lot of pushing, and a lot of grabbing, and I didn't see any punches thrown though. So nothing fully offensive in terms of like an assault charge or anything like that. So, most likely, from what I could tell, I don't think the activists meant to make contact with them. I don't think the councilman meant to make contact with them either. Just a consequence of a crowded room and a small room with a lot of people in it. All right? They make contact, a little bit of a brawl breaks out. Not really a brawl, but all that stuff happens. Bad. It's bad optically for the left. It's bad morally from as an organization that purports to disseminate rhetoric and disseminate, political ideology. They've done a bad job. They've failed on this part. They have let their aggressive inclinations rule the day. And for that, I gotta say, guilty. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm unfortunately, in no possible way can I defend this. I can defend a few very limited elements of this, but I cannot defend most of this political action from this group. It's cringy. It's too far. Nobody got anything out of this. All you got was locally bad press in terms of or not bad press, but you got bad optics locally, not good. And you kind of made a good excuse for that councilman and other councilmen or women going forward to quarter themselves off a little bit and put more barriers between you and them when engaging with the public. Overall, L's all the way. I don't really think this. I don't really see this as being. This is rather cut and dry, I think. So, and in terms of TYT, I saw complaints about kind of their rhetoric and what they were pushing for. And I think on this case, I'm going to have to go with not guilty on this one. I'd say for the most part, aside from context that I'm probably not aware of, I'd say for the most part, they were on point on this one. This activist group doesn't really seem amazing as far as their activism go. I don't know if they're really helpful, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm landing on this one. I think their critiques were pretty good. Although I don't love some of their prescriptions and I don't love some of their framing, overall, I can't side with the activists on this one. So that's where we're at. Okay. Wow. I spent a lot more time on that than I thought I would, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, all right. So I think I got like 4 minutes. Let's. Do we have time? Do we have time to do? Do we have time to do this? Should we just scroll through? Oh no, maybe we should do this at the beginning. What? Oh, okay. No. Okay. All right, guys. We got one more topic, which we're gonna return to. I want to watch more of this guy's stuff because this just looks fucking hilarious. But are you aware of the alpha male? Are you aware of the strongest man, of the Übermensch, as German folklore and history would say? Or I think it's really more like German psychological. It doesn't matter. Let's take a look at some guy who is, I guess, like Trump is a stand for this guy. One Nick Adams, the alpha male. So we're here to do one thing and one thing only on this one. All right, let me loosen up a little bit here. We are gonna watch this, and I'm just gonna fry the shit out of this dude. That's all the time. We're gonna kind of break down his whole shtick. I'm sure he's a dumb fuck. He kind of looks like a dumb fuck. His Twitter account kind of. One second, if I can control my fucking mouse. Like, is this is the face of an alpha male? This is the face of an alpha male. Got it. Trump's favorite author. Golly. Imagine thinking yourself an alpha and that's your whole thing. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Alpha. Fucking injected into my veins. All right, let's do this. Fucking. Oh, boy. This guy. All right, let's see. LeBron is not even close. Oh, my God. Why do you even care? 2024 National Republican primary. Trump 49. Well, what's new? As a wildly successful alpha male, I feel obligated to share my wealth of knowledge and educate the next generation on what it means to be a real man. I'm stepping up to the plate and delivering the traditional masculinity that society has been lusting for. My dude, please don't buy. No, stop it. You look like the fucking son. You look like the fucking skeevy, like drug-addled son of like your local shady car dealer. That's what you look like, my dude. Like, you need to get the fuck out of here with this. Alpha male. Oh my God. Alpha male. I love how all the alpha men in society are really triggered by other men being bold enough to wear dresses, I guess. President Trump always hired the best people. Oh yeah, you mean the like how many press secretaries he had? Joe Biden hired a kleptomaniac to oversee nuclear material at the Department of Energy. Nuclear waste, first of all. We need president back in office to kick the thieves out of the positions of power. Notice, again, this goes back to the earlier critique. Notice not posting the surveillance footage. Not interested in that at all. That's not even something that they felt the need to post. What do we have here? Triggered alpha male by a drag person in a church. Be triggered more. Kicked out. Okay. Cool. People being sus. Cool. Ah, yes. This is what I saw earlier. Hit me with it. Alpha male. Dude, you look like a fucking... This dude looks like he lived the origin story of the fucking chicken guy from Toy Story 2. Like,
on day one
No, that's not his voice.
President Biden,
No.
one of the very first actions he took was to cancel the Keystone.
No, my dude, no, you can't do that. You can't sound like a Monty Python parody character. My dude, you fucking sound like you sound like the fucking bridge garter guy from fucking Holy Grail. Holy shit. What the fuck? Really?
On day one.
Okay.
President Biden.
What the fuck?
One of the very first actions he took.
Very first.
Was to cancel the Keystone Pipeline.
Man, what the fuck happened to Samwise Tarly? Fucking life fell apart. Jesus.
Meaning that every single ordinary,
oh my God,
hardworking American, whether they.
First of all, what the fuck is that accent? You're talking about American politics, sir. Who the fuck are you to talk about American politics with that accent?
Are a waiter,
author of the most dangerous president in history.
Business,
okay.
Whatever they happen to be. Wherever you happen to find them. Missouri, Kansas.
Where's this guy from? Isn't he like Australian? I think he's Australian. Australia, pick your shit up. Get the fuck out of here.
Nevada.
That's probably too loud.
Wherever they are.
No, that's fine.
They had to pay more. At the gas pump.
Right.
Why? Because Joe Biden is absolutely lock and key under.
I think you're looking for
the control of the green lobby.
Yeah,
that's what this is all about. The Green New Deal,
lobby, the
radical environmentalism that is true communism.
True communism is the Green New Deal, which has never been implemented like real communism. And what was that?
About the Green New Deal.
Oh, yeah.
The radical environmentalism.
Yeah. Radical environmentalism. Yeah. Incoherent. Utterly inco-fucking-herent. This dude could not describe communism if I asked him to. What is this? Had a great alpha male Sunday. Okay, so dude, message to all males out there. I'm going to let you in on a little secret really quick. If you have to reinforce constantly that you are an alpha male, I have unfortunate news for you. You're not. There is nothing more beta, nothing more sad than a male who won't shut the fuck up about how masculine they are. Because you end up revealing how insecure you really are. So keep that in mind. We all know. It's a very thin veil for you. Major announcement. On the heels have been named Alpha. Oh, right. This was like a fake magazine. I think I saw like somebody post. Let's see. What is this? A comment. Let's see. These men have destroyed NASCAR. Do I even need to say the thing that he picks a black guy who destroyed NASCAR? Like, do I need to say it? I don't think I need to say it. We all know. We all know. Never. Yes. Trump and all his black friends. Yes. Two alpha males enjoying a laugh. My dude, you're getting a fucking autograph. Dude. You walked up to Sylvester Stallone, fucking Sharpie in hand, wrist quivering, lip quivering, and was like, oh, Mr. Stallone, would you, we're two alpha males, don't you? Would you mind signing my little 8x10 black and white of you that I printed off or that I bought from some huckster, please? And Sylvester Stallone looked at you with one look and went like, who's this fucking guy? Like, fucking weirdo. I don't know. Can I do it? I don't know if I can do a Stallone voice. What an honor. Oh my God. Jesus Christ above. Oh, what do we got here? No one is better at winning elections than President Trump. Wait, he's got like a 50-50 ratio. Joe Biden has a 100% as a 1K. Joe Biden's at a 1.0 KD, my guy. He's at a 100% KD. Your boy's at a 0.5 KD.
Donald Trump endorsed, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 279 or 369.
Just make it 69,
different
brother.
Candidates for Congress, for governor, for Senate, on all levels. And there were only 19 of the candidates that he endorsed that lost.
Sure.
Donald Trump
is that accurate?
Endorsed, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood.
Wait, I believe? So you're just making up this number then? Okay, just so we're clear. Ever had, and that includes Ronald Reagan. Damn, isn't that Nancy Reagan like right there? That's an alpha male. That's an alpha male move. AOC want to turn America into European social. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is the last one. This is the last one.
Democrats want to make this look like a European socialist country.
Wrong. I want it to look better than those shitholes that are in Europe. I want America to have whatever Europe's best healthcare system is. I want better than theirs. Whatever their best infrastructure is, I want better than theirs. Whatever their best health outcomes are, I want better than theirs. I want America to lowest bar to be Europe. I want us to fucking kick ass. I just wanted to make that clear.
Because they don't like the fact.
Does this guy make arguments at all? I'm assuming he just says
has
shit.
always been the most conservative nation, a center-right country.
That's not
They don't
true.
like that.
Wait,
America
what?
is a right country.
Wait.
Now the United States of America has always been the most conservative nation, a center-right.
Wait, hold 1 second. The most conservative. Okay, were we the most conservative when we were fighting a civil war? Or were we most conservative when Ronald Reagan won so many presidential terms that we created term limits? I'm not sure when we were the most conservative.
Right country. They don't like that. America is...
I don't like conservatives. That is correct.
America is the scar on the left's Mona Lisa.
What's the rest of the Mona Lisa? Okay, if America is an element of a painting, what's the rest of the painting? Is it Europe? I'm confused.
The rest of the world, they can live with. But the United States of America...
This dude looks like the embodiment of a fucking KFC bucket of chicken. I'm sorry. That's... I know, I'm going low bar with it, but...
foundational values...
He's fucking Australian.
In the United States Constitution.
And talking about American politics.
The Federalist Papers.
Ah, yes, the Federalist Papers.
Because of those values...
Not the fuck, what's the other paper? I don't remember.
Donald Trump knew this. That's why his line was "Make America Great Again," because he knew that under the Democrats, this country can never reach her full potential.
Which is fascism.
Yes, it can remain on some level great. It can be greater than any other country.
Wait,
But the United States of America has so much more potential than that. This is the shining city on a hill.
Oh my God. I just realized this dude is talking to like an utterly senile crowd.
Place unlike any other. And it's up to us to keep it. And it's up to us to research and know and find out. And
the fact that this dude has any... What the fuck? The most dangerous president in history. Oh my God, dude. Dude, is that a quote? That's not even, there's no quotations. That's not even a quote. You dipshit. Oh my God. Okay. We will one day return to this. Oh yeah. Alpha energy. This is alpha energy the same way that the fucking junior bacon cheeseburger is a main menu item. That's what this is. What? Oh yeah, remember when people smoked and died of lung cancer early while playing sports? It's like, geez. Those, is that real? That looks photoshopped as fuck. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Well, it's Americans. Oh man. Oh, what is this? What is this little tag, bro? It's so again, do you not put any, this dude doesn't put anything in quotation marks. Alpha man sits on a Harley. Dude, you okay, no, we're done. I can't handle more alpha male. I can't handle it. I can't. No, we're done. We're not doing more of that. Maybe one day we'll come back to that. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. So, time for the whole outro bit where I say, thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed any of that, I would absolutely appreciate any kind of follow, or if you go over to the YouTube channel where all the VODs are posted and some of the segments are cut up into fun little more bite-sized videos, any subscription to that would also be super appreciated on my part. I do this as kind of a part-time thing of my own hobby, my own interests, but I do have a full-time job that I would like to replace with something I actually like doing. So either way, yeah, that's going to be it for today. Next show is going to be on Thursday. I don't really have any programming notes for Thursday, at least not yet. So that'll come when, you'll be as surprised as I will probably when Thursday rolls around. But either way, you've been a great audience. I've been actually went through probably the most seamless show today, so I've been pretty good. Yeah, and I will see you on Thursday. Goodbye.